Thok. Careful how you say that one. Thok.
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 Thok. Fuck. Oh, wait a minute. Are you going to give me a character? I'm petrified you're going to give me a character that's going to make me say a word, aren't you? Is the character fuck, by any chance? Yeah, exactly. You son of a...
So, pretty tough, as you can imagine. Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm gonna do something. He's going for the gold medal in long jump. Oh my god!
We're going to kick it off with some PvP. We are going into Santa Vega on elimination. If Ryson could do something, look at this! Ryson's got the base down to less than half, and he's giving Simon big problems. Simon is not hitting his shots here, and Ryson is doing way more damage than he's allowed to. Vanishes away.
I mean, you can make sure the comedy's just spot on.
Yeah.
Kind of Gal Quest style.
We had so we did have a sit down discussion the other day, and we got together and we talked about it. And Timbo was going over some of the stuff that's in the quests, and he did have me laughing quite a lot.
He's having a baby scan.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to show it, John? Do you want to show
yeah,
it?
he sent us on his phone. His
Look at that.
partner. There it is.
That's brilliant!
Like the way it's always Mod Shauny's birthday. Whoa.
Mutate badge! Doubled! I doubled badge! Oh my god! I double badged! I double badged!
Holy crap! Yes!
Oh my
Yes! He's got it on stream!
Alright, that's it. I'm a Gobi. I'm hugging my father. Not Mark, apparently. It's my birthday, and that's why people are celebrating. Is that right? Do you get your satisfaction out of that? It's not my birthday, by the way. No, I'm not having this.
My goodness.
Such a great effort by Riddle for you there, Shauny.
Wow,
So much research finding that info.
Wow. I mean, he's managed to condense basically almost 6 years of my life at Jagex into like every game I've worked on is in there. Like Ace, Block, Transformers, and obviously RuneScape. But I don't know. I mean, the fact you've managed to find very selective clips, which are quite hilarious as well. Very, very well done to Riddle. That is incredible. Like, wow, that video was awesome.
It's such a weird thing though, because most people don't really remember you for like the previous RuneScape things you did, like Ace of Space and whatever. But it was such a nice time, in my opinion. You did so much fun there, and you were so young at the age of 19.
Well, I mean, the thing is with Ace back then is that, like, I mean, people have hit the story. Like, I kind of joined one on contract, but I was kind of under the radar when it came to visibility. So it was kind of like a fun, how can I try and make things fun? And I thought, well, you know, why not do streaming? Like, those streams are back from 2014. Like, that is, and you can see as the years go by, my hair is just going through all different phases, like, for whatever reason, shape or form. And then, yeah, you are right, though, that most people know me for RuneScape, but, you know, only a very select few people know me for what I did, obviously, with Block, Ace, and Transformers. And, you know, I'm proud of that. Like, those games built me up to be a better CM for RuneScape, I think, and that's the important thing that came from it for me.
I do remember that when you switched to RuneScape, it took some time before you kind of, I guess, get accepted into the RuneScape team. What was the big reason that you wanted to make that transition in the first place?
Oh, wait, what was the reason? Sorry, apologies. What was the reason?
What
for
was the reason that you wanted to make that transition from Block and Load to RuneScape
Wow.
in the first place?
Well, I mean, I didn't mention it until today, but the reason why I made the transition from Block to RuneScape straight up was because Block and Load was downsized, and I was literally made redundant from my job. So Block and Load was downsized as a product, and at that time, I had actually been made redundant from Jagex, and there was an opening for RuneScape CM, which I got applied for, and I got there literally by the skin of my teeth. And then I came into that team with a chip on my shoulder, didn't know the game a lot, and I was like, okay, do you know what? I'm gonna do everything I can to try and learn this and kind of go from there. So yeah, that's
You
where it came
learned
from.
it
Really.
very well, to be honest, because you've done more than what a typical player has done in a space of, I don't know, what, like 3-4 years or something, like total, right? So you've done a lot in RuneScape progress and in job progress in that time, and it's just amazing to see your journey in not just as a community manager, but in the game as well. And you were like sharing it as you were going and stuff, and I felt like we became not just as you being the face of the community, it was more like a friend that you saw progress through alongside you, and I think that's what made everyone love you as much as they do.
I think like it's I forgot my point again. I do this a lot. I think about something, I was gonna say it, and then forget about it. But I remember what I was gonna say. I've been playing this game, right, for almost 10 years on my account, and you're gonna have more XP than me now. I have no idea how you do that with all the time you don't have available because you work a lot and you have your family now, and you still have more XP than me. Where does that come from?
Well, it helps that you're a skiller. That helps a lot. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wanted to learn this. Like, for me, like, I will always go back to one of the first streams I ever did for RuneScape, where Invention had just came out, and I was basically pushed onto this computer, and I was told to kind of sell this update, this massive new skill. Back then, I didn't understand the full appreciation of what this update was, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it made and it looks really bad. And I hate the whole like, if you go on to represent RuneScape, in my opinion, when you come onto stream, you need to know the product, because that's what players appreciate you for. If you don't know it, then it didn't help. And to the point of the XP, it helps that I was racing against my wife, so there was a motivation to try and beat her, FYI, as to why my XP is quite the crazy one it was. But like, I joined on that Invention stream. I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know much about the game. I didn't appreciate this update, this massive update. And I had I watched that stream back, and people rightfully were like, he doesn't know anything. Why is he on this stream, and so on. And then I took that as like a real, okay, I really need to like learn this game so I can kind of know and put my head in the mind of a player. Because the best way to try and deal with situations like that is try to understand the player situations when it comes to issues and so on and so forth. I wasn't even 2016. Like, I didn't have a 99 in 2016. I started 2016 with Firemaking being my first 99, ended up maxing at the end of 2016. Got Warden in 2017, and then Comp earlier on this year. So I've just prided myself on knowing this game, because it helps me to learn the issues that players are having when it comes to it. That's the gist of it, really.
I think that's one of the things that really made you stand out as a fantastic CM, in terms of not only just being there and being present for people to communicate between you and Jagex, and be that middleman, if you could say, but also the fact that you were so interested in pretty much every single facet of the game, in terms of like, I know you even went and you learned how to PVM and you got the Warden title, and that was something that I'm sure you did, and I'm sure you had fun doing it as well. And I know if you watch the clip back, like you're fired up the whole time, but it's also another way to just try and understand as many people as possible. So that's really, I don't know if you would agree, but would you say that was one of the most important things as a CM to do?
I prided myself in trying to get achievements that were considered like have value to them, I guess. Like, Telos is a boss I loved, and I thought if I could get this Warden done, I feel like, yeah, nowadays people have a lot of Warden, but like back in 2017, Warden was a little bit more rarer, and I prided myself on, can I push myself to this point where I can get this boss beaten on Warden? And I did that, and I was very proud of it. And I looked at it as I've played this game a lot, and I've been able to do this really cool achievement, and I think people appreciate me more from as a Jagex member at that time because I had that achievement, because it shows that they're playing their own game. So that's kind of how I approached it, really.
That's fair. So obviously you've been always very public with your account, and you've kind of published your name out there. Obviously, as a CM, you do get a lot of messages from people who want some kind of change in the game. Maybe they want their account back if it's been banned or whatever. How did you find that balance of being a player versus a community manager on your personal account?
In retrospect, probably like I wish I didn't do that, only because sometimes you just want to play the game, and because you have that name, even if, for example, I was to have my status offline, people, if they see me running by them in game, will still do that. In retrospect, probably shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, like, I've been able to find that really nice balance where I can definitely like if there's word questions, well, there won't be any more, but if there are word questions, like push that to the side and like either like just be like, no, I just want to play the game. Like there's been multiple instances, like even in voice chat in my own clan, like I've been in a clan voice chat and people who used to be in our clan would join us and we're playing a completely different game and they're like, oh, Shauny, so what about this, this, and this? And I'm just trying to play a game. Like, I'm just trying to have my own time to myself or with my wife as we're playing like Gambis or something like that. So, you know, it does happen. In retrospect, I feel like to anyone if anyone from Jagex is watching this, I feel like you probably, and you can be public with your account if you want to, but if you do that, you should absolutely expect to suffer between being able to play the game and being pestered still by players because they just want to know stuff, and that's understandable.
Of course, yeah.
Did that get like frustrating often, or could you see it from their side? So like, even though it was kind of frustrating, was it okay to you and acceptable, or is there a point where it was like one day, you know, you just got really annoyed by it, or is there any point where it got overwhelming kind of thing?
I feel it's frustrating, yes, but at the same time, I did it to myself, so I can't really blame that person if they're trying to get help. Because, you know, if you're in a desperate situation where you're trying to get an account sorted or anything like that, of course you're going to try and take every avenue. But I can't really blame them if I'm the person who's made that approach to make my account name public, if that makes sense, because that's kind of on me, really.
Plus, I think that's what made you such a good community manager as well, because I'm 100% sure that there'd be plenty of people out there that would, you know, be way less understanding than what you are, and I think that's what made it so much better. Especially when you started streaming, you could really see that you didn't mind like just saying like, I can't help you, you know, maybe check this out or something, and you didn't get annoyed whenever I was watching. So I was just wondering whether it did get to that point where it was a bit much or whatever, but that's cool that it didn't.
No, because I feel like if you put yourself out there in that scenario, you're kind of like you're kind of doing it to yourself, in my opinion. So I don't feel like I'm in a position to go, you know, I'm gonna get frustrated at you because you're the one who's found out my name, because I've either streamed with my RSN public or I've done tweets where my RSN's in there. So I kind of done that to myself, really, in retrospect.
Fair.
How did you find that balance of making friends, though? Because obviously it might be a bit hard to find the balance between who's trying to get your attention and who's just being friendly.
I mean, that's the problem, right? You can't unfortunately just immediately go, oh, this could be a friend, or this could be a friend to try and get something, and so on and so forth. Like, you know, you gotta make that distinction, but it just happens over time. So I'm just looking because Pickle's just absolutely crashed out on the floor, bless him. But yeah, you can't really like make that distinction unless like you're absolutely confident, I guess. It's tough, but at the same time, you know, you have that gut feeling, right, when it comes to it. Like, you'll know if they're genuine or they're being a friend, or they're just trying to be a friend with me for like reasons that'll benefit them, and so on and so forth.
I've actually been kind of wondering about it regarding your wife, though I don't know how much attention Jamos get from quote-unquote e-girls. But how do you... Actually, just tell us that story. How did you meet your wife?
So I did a stream. I think it was around about... so I can't remember what the top of the stream was. But basically, it was the White Wolf Mountain that had just been completely redone, and I was going through it, and I came through the entrance, and I saw this ghost. I can't remember the context. I just saw this ghost, and for some reason I called it goats. And in my classic ways, I just did that. and straight up, it was uploaded, and then she liked it, and then we got talking, and then it just turns out that we had a really, really good connection when it comes to WWE, and it comes to everything else. Like, our relationship is nothing to do with RuneScape whatsoever. Our relationship is based on what we love doing together, what we have interests in, and so on and so forth. And that is something I feel like is important to hammer home. Like, like I absolutely I'm so grateful for it, because I'm in this house. I have my beautiful wife. I have my daughter who's just in the other room asleep. Like, you know, our 14-month-old daughter. Like, we have Pickle here who wants to climb up.
Get the dog.
There you go. Hey, buddy.
Look at that guy. It's a cat.
Hey, buddy.
That's a very weird dog, Shauny.
Yeah.
Did I say dog?
No. Will said, "Oh, you get the dog up here." It's like, yeah, get the dog.
Yeah, this is Pickle. And you know, and that's the story. Like, our coming together is actually really nothing to do with RuneScape. It's just to do with our interests, and well, just simply to be cheesy because we love each other, really.
That's very sweet.
That's cool.
You got married as well, and not like when was that? It's a couple of years ago, isn't it?
We got married a year and a half after we got together. We got married in May of 2015, May of 2018. And the only reason we were legally able to get married is because of Mod Shogun and Mod Timbo, because you need 2 legal witnesses to essentially make the marriage official. Originally, it was going to be Anna's parents. They weren't able to make it. My parents were in Wales, which is obviously a little bit further away. And we were stressing because we had it booked in, and we're like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to do this. We've got this all planned, and it's about to go to waste. And I remember asking Mod Stacy, and I basically said, can I, because Shogun was in QA at the time, and I was like, am I able to like steal Shogun for like 2 hours while we go to another town and basically watch me get married? And she was just like, yeah, no problem. And then for Timbo, I had to ask Mod Osborne, because Mod Osborne's Timbo's manager, and they were but like Stacey and Osborne were completely fine with it. So basically, the only reason that we're married is because of Timbo and Shogun, really.
That's actually
which
really,
is a crazy little story, really.
It's nice that it linked into your RS life a little bit in that regards as well, right? So it's cool that you could rely on your colleagues to be friends more than just colleagues, and I like that a lot.
Because you got married on the Jagex lunch break, is that right?
Well, I mean, this is actually. I mean, I'm sure they won't get in trouble. I'm sure Jagex hours, but they were fine. Their manager said it was fine. It was like during like 2 hours of the actual work time. But I mean, it's a marriage. It's fine. I'm sure.
I remember you posted a picture on Twitter, and it was the most wholesome thing. You were standing there in your slippers, recently married, going back to Jagex to get up again after your lunch break.
Yeah, we went back there obviously to drop off Shogun and Timbo, because you know they kind of made the trip with us, and then we went back there, and you know we just sat there, and then we thought, you know what, screw it, and then me and Anna basically went out to get burgers, and Byron Burger, if anyone knows, in the UK, basically is our place where we first ate food. After we got married, we absolutely destroyed Byron Burger, and we had Frickles, I think they're called.
Frickles are like the best things on
Frickles,
this planet, dude.
like this glorious burger, Oreo shakes, and we just went, screw it, let's just like stuff our faces because we just got married, you know?
That's actually very sweet, to be honest. You really, honestly though, I really enjoy that when you take like the essence of the relationship and you go back to the first date and those kind of things on your wedding day. I really do find that very romantic. I really want to do that myself, to be honest. I don't care, like, people will be like, a burger place, that's weird, but honestly, I do think that's really cool.
You want to do what you enjoy, right? You don't want to force something that's like too crazy if you're not a crazy person.
If it'll happen, it'll happen, you know?
No, I mean with the mill stuff, right?
No, sorry, no, I was just in reference to Will.
Sorry,
like, as Will, Will's like, you know, I want to do all that stuff, but if it'll happen, it'll happen. Like, I have the person I'll be with for the rest of my life. That's a fact, and I will go to my grave saying that, hand on heart. And I'm like this. Like, if it wasn't for like Anna has helped me through so much shit. Like, the thing is about this job. I mean, I guess we'll maybe get into it later. But the thing is about this job is that it's really fucking tough. Like, you have to imagine, right? Let's use just to clarify, is your stream mature content?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
not?
it is. You can swear.
Okay,
you can say whatever you want.
Cool.
You can literally just speak like you want to speak, say anything, don't filter yourself, kind of thing.
Like, she was there like before we'd even moved in together, because I was really like invested into my job. There would be times where it was like 2 or 3 a.m. and I'm up like chasing up this issue, which like is pretty bad, but not many, like no one really knows about it, but the significance of it's really bad. We have to literally call someone out at 2 or 3 a.m. I have to wake them up with a phone call, because basically, if you're not aware, the process of fixing stuff out of hours is there is always someone on call, and they will get a phone call if something's bad. So I'm like playing and rattling in my mind, do I have to ring them like and wake them up to like if it's significant? All the while I have my wife with me who's stayed up with me through all of this and just trying to get it done. And it's pretty crazy when you think about it. Like and you look back on it and stuff like that. And then at the same time, there's also the other side of the job. Like we have, I'm sure we'll get into it, where stuff has happened on stream before, and like I'm sure people have noticed I've been visibly affected by stuff or whatever. But you know, it's all worth a conversation as this stream goes on, I imagine. But yeah, you know, it does get to you for sure.
So oh, go on, Ryan.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna lead on to other stuff. So if you want to say something that links into this, go
Sure.
ahead.
So sort of related to that, you're obviously closely intertwined with RuneScape. You work insanely hard, or you worked insanely hard for RuneScape. It's kind of a 24-hour job, you could say, where you're talking about getting up at 3 a.m. to get stuff done. And I had a question about, as a RuneScape player, were there ever times where you're, you know, having a crazy week at work, and then you can't really like chill and relax with RuneScape because it's reminding you of all the work stress? And then in those moments, like, what were some other things that you would do in those times? Because you talked about you and Anna, and you know, not it being a RuneScape thing, but just other interests and other things. So what were some things that you did when, you know, work was crazy and you didn't really want to look at RuneScape, if that was a thing that happened?
Like the perfect example is like milestones in our lives. Like take a perfect example, like November 2017. This was during the time where all the MTX statements had just come out. I think it was September or October of that year. There was obviously upheaval from players, and there was frustrations from me personally. And November 2017, November is the month of my wife's birthday. We had this really I had this really awesome thing planned out where we're gonna go and go and spend time in this little forest and like spend time in accommodation and stuff. And that's like a perfect example of like getting away from it. And we had an absolutely amazing time. And like that's like the perfect way to cool down. There's only ever been one time at Jagex I've been literally sent home because of stuff that's happened the night before. So take a step back. Invention came out in 2016. This kind of tied into me trying to better myself. So Invention had just came out. It was the day after Invention's release, where we had just did a fix to stop the Invention components giving as much XP, because obviously people had been using undead components to boost their way through Invention, getting a ton of XP, so on and so forth. It came to about 7-8 p.m. at night, and I was getting ready to go home, and I happened to see this post on Reddit where if you kill someone in the wilderness, it would actually disconnect you from the game completely. And it's like, okay, that's not good. So that was the first call out. That was sorted, fixed. And then it then spiraled and went even worse from there. Like, and it got to a point where every time I thought I was going to go home, we had these issues that came up. Like there was another issue where if you had a augmented port gear, you try and repair it on your player on port stand, it would automatically boost it to level 10 instantly. Like, so you could only imagine, and luckily only one person knew about that and told us in a PM to me on Reddit. But me, Shogun, and Mod Curse came into the office at like 11 p.m. because they'd seen the emails I'd been sending to the escalations guys, where they had been coming into the office to literally help me out on the QA side of things, because obviously I didn't really know it, and those guys were absolutely smashing it. And then we ended up going home, and we got like a kebab on the way home and stuff like that. You know how it goes. It was like midnight, and then the next day I came in normal time. In fact, I came in a little earlier because I wanted to see how everything was, but I was a little tired from obviously the stuff that happened. And then I basically had my manager, this is the only time it's ever happened to me at Jagex, my manager literally just said to me, like, I've seen everything that's happened last night, like, just go home because you deserve it, just go rest up and then come back refreshed. And, that was great, and that's like a nice way of feeling recognized for doing that, you know. But like I said, it only ever happened once, and it's something that will always hold dear to me because it was a nice thing to do. Because he didn't have to, but he did it because he'd seen what happened, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So I don't know if Mikeru's question is related to this. I also have something that's like semi-related,
No,
but
go
mostly
ahead,
just
yeah.
out of pure interest.
Yeah,
okay.
go.
So I kind of had two questions. One is lighter than the other one. The light question is, if you can off the top of your head, you mentioned some invention release bugs that sound absolutely broken, that, like only one person caught on to. So if there are any other ones that come to mind that like nobody caught on to, they didn't end up on Reddit or anywhere because you kind of nipped them right at the bud, but that were just absolutely wild. Can you take us through either that process or
I'll give you three. I'll give you three.
Oh, what? Three of them, nice.
So I'll give you three. I'll never
I'm just
forget.
so interested.
So in 2016, we had a very infamous bug with the Noxious Lombo. This Noxious Lombo was essentially, if you were in a duel with someone and you used a spec to bring down the spider and ended the duel, what's meant to happen is the spider is deleted from the map and you don't get the spec bonus, which is the reflect. Now, when you do that and you just go PBMing, that spider effect is on you 24/7. You're doing unlimited reflect damage constantly. Yeah, so that was really bad because it meant that people could try and solo certain bosses or essentially boost their kills an hour. It was really bad. Like, it wasn't great.
Hey, leave me one of those.
That was really fun because Shogun, Shogun's in the chat, and he absolutely loves like bugs when they get like absolutely crazy. Like, this is an example of it because when he first did it, and then he went to, I think it was Rax, and then he just essentially reflected onto Rax, and he was just reflected back to me. He just was like, take that, Rax, because I'm spiderweb me, and I'm spiderwebbing you. So we had a bit of fun with it, and then we had to call someone out. We had to get that fixed. That was like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night, and it actually worked even in Duel Arena as well, so you can only imagine how that went. If you're doing polypore staking and, you literally have this reflect bug, you'd be winning 24/7. The second one is on the release of Telos. There was a very famous bug I don't think many people know about, which was
the Sunlock.
No, this is with the Saren Godbow. The Saren Godbow, if you were to duel someone in the Duel Anywhere update, the Saren Godbow spec would hit any player around you. Any player. Now, this would actually kill Hacker Ironman, like literally, like unsafe death. Like, this is literally like Falador Massacre V2, in essence. You could literally group people up, use like someone did it. I remember when it first happened, I went onto my mod, I was invisible, I went into Grand Exchange, I watched two people duel each other. The one guy moved into a perfect square where everyone was doing their Grand Exchange trades and literally got like tanked by like the SGB, and it was pretty scary. And that happened only because I saw a random post on my phone at 11 o'clock at night, and then I ran home from Shogun's house to my laptop, and then we tried it and we reproed it. The funny story is Reddit seems to think I drove home drunk from the pub when it happened to get this done. So to clear up that misconception, I literally ran home because I was like, oh, this isn't good. And oh my goodness, I literally had three, and I've just completely forgot the third one. We did the Lombo, we did the Saren. Oh yes, this one. This is the worst one. So basically,
that was
the others weren't bad. Don't worry about it.
One person who told us this, who PM'd me at 1 o'clock at night, and he did a Reddit thread. It was like, I have a really bad bug. Now, when you see these, 9 times out of 10, they're not bugs, or they're not as bad as what they are. I was PM'd. I thought it was another one of these, and the gist of it is, back then, if you keepsaked an augmented item and then took it back out, it would duplicate that augmented item. So you could duplicate your augmented items. So this person, to test it, duplicated scythes, duplicated whatever. So that involved a 1 or 2 a.m. call out to fix that, because I didn't know if he was the only person who knew it. And he didn't get banned. He was the only person who did it. He was honest with us. He could have kept doing it. Like, he could have kept doing it. Like, he told us. He said, like, please clear my items. I just was meaning to take out my keepsake and it's duplicated. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. Please take it out, fix it, whatever. But the thing is, anytime bugs like this happen, there's always the after effects that come from it. So, for example, I then have to go and email the analytics team and be like, here's this bug, here's exactly how it happened. Can you give me a list of everyone who's done this? Like, the example being Solak, when the Solak Titan bug happened.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't there when that bug happened, but when I came back, I was involved in chasing up everyone who was involved in it. Same as the Oyster bug, where you could literally open the Oyster 24/7 back in January 2016. The first bug I ever dealt with from a bug abuse perspective. Like, you know, those are just bugs that come to my head, like, right there, that I remember very, very well. But, like, those are just some examples, and, like, I've given you, like, 5 there, I guess, instead of 3, but whatever. They're fixed now, it's fine.
So,
Yeah.
those examples, they all have one thing in common, which is you having to get up, not in regular. Why is my phone ringing? Go away. So they all have one thing in common. Sorry about that. Which is that you're getting up not in work hours. You're checking your phone at midnight, and then you're going in and calling these things in. So I wanted to tie that in a little bit to, you know, obviously you've made the decision to move on from your position at Jagex.
Correct.
And, you know, you've said family reasons is a big part of that. Is your next job that you've got lined up one that is hopefully a little bit less 24/7 for you?
You can't. CM is a 24/7 job. Like, that's a fact. A community manager, no matter what, and what they're doing at any time, needs to be aware that at any moment something could go wrong and they need to deal with it. And CM is a 24/7 job. In my opinion, if you do not go into this job with the mindset of CM being a 24/7 job, you are doing it wrong. Because anything, like right now as we're talking, there could be a really bad fucking bug that happens, and CM have to deal with it. Like, that's the way it works. So for me, I prided myself on at any time something could happen, and then what is very important is how fast can you turn around and get something fixed. That's the biggest thing for me. You need in this job to be dedicated 100%. With my job, like, cards on the table, I'm going to work for Unity Technologies as a community engagement manager. That is, for me, a massive step up, and it will still involve keeping an eye on stuff when it happens. Now, that is the way it's going to be, and I'm completely fine with that. Like, for me, a community manager, in my mind, it may not be the official one, but in my mind, a community manager is someone who is, at the end of the day, even though they might not be watching stuff 24/7, if something happens, they need to be on top of it. Like, just my sense anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that definitely, you know, made you stand out as a fantastic community manager. But obviously it's an incredibly stressful job to have to be constantly checking back. Is everything good? Is everything good? Is everything good? So I just wanted to say, you know, on a personal note, I just wanted to wish you the best with Unity. And I just wanted to say, you know, I hope it goes fantastically. I hope that, you know, there's a good work-life balance out of that. And yeah, I just wanted to say, hopefully it all goes really well.
Definitely.
Thank you.
On that note, regarding your new job, can you tell us a little bit about the largest differences between your Jagex job and the new job at Unity?
So the thing is that, like, the Unity team is just getting started on the community side of things, so we can't really, like, we kind of have to figure out what we're going to be doing. But the difference will be that Unity is for the entire, like, developers, as it were. There's not a dedicated core community game base. It's very open, it's very vast, there's many different things to do when it comes to it. So, you know, that's something that I'm looking forward to. I don't know specifically what that involves yet, and I'll find out when, obviously, I go and start next Monday. But until then, I guess we'll see. That's the exciting part of it.
Yeah. So, was this a job that you applied for, or did you, like, get an offer in
So, like, again, cards on table. They messaged me on LinkedIn, and I just, as a personal note to anyone who is wanting to go in the industry and so on and so forth, LinkedIn, like, was so instrumental for me in, first of all, getting to Jagex, and then second of all, having this opportunity from Unity. The recruiter from Unity came to me based on what they considered to be my skill set and basically what they think Unity needed to get their community team off and going, and they took that approach to come to me first, not me going to them. So, I mean, they already are showing the interest by coming to me first, and that's where basically it came from and how it all started.
Are you excited, even though... So when it comes to leaving Jagex, obviously, you're going to be sad and I'm sure that it's an emotional time because I've seen the live streams, I've seen everything. There's loads of things being made for you. You've done your in-game event. You can see how much the community cares for you. So obviously it's a sad time, but also is it an exciting time for you? And if so, like, what is the biggest thing that you think you're going to be excited for?
Personally, like, I'm hyped for being, like, in my mind, it's like, I love helping someone fix a problem, or helping players get to the bottom of an issue, or helping players be aware that something's being fixed. Now, a lot of games in the industry use the Unity engine, and at any one point, I could be the person who I'm speaking to a team who's trying to get an engine bug fixed so they can launch an update for a game or even launch their game. And if I can help them talk to Unity to then help that get launched, I can then say, do you know what, I've actually helped these guys launch a game that's like dependent on their livelihood and this is their passion. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that excites me beyond belief. Like, knowing that I could have helped any bunch of people or one person launch their game or an update because of an issue they're running into, that hypes me up big time.
Would you say the community management is your passion? You've been doing a lot of content development of sorts in RuneScape as well. And obviously, I don't really know if that's something you're going to build onto at Unity. But what's your thoughts on that?
Community management, like, CM is me. Like, I don't ever foresee myself doing anything else. Like, I feel like for me, like, I will always pride myself on, like, being that person who can be that middle ground between the developers and players. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. The content development stuff, which I don't know if we'll get into it later, like, that is only because of Jagex's tap. Like, that's the only reason that happened was because of tap, and that allowed me to literally dedicate time to trying to learn it. And obviously, I'm grateful for that as well, and what I was able to do with it.
But you have been doing a little bit as well after TAP. If I remember correctly, you did make a tweet earlier today that it sent something in for QA. Is that right?
Not today, but like,
okay.
After TAP had gone, I'd been using essentially my lunchtimes the clan update from 2018, the clan avatar rework, the clan broadcast, everything else. That was all done in my lunches because I just had this something inside me was like, I really want to get this done, and I love learning. For me, like, you learn the code base and you kind of learn how stuff works, and then you can apply that mindset to an issue a player's having. And, like, for example, the buff bar issues going on today and yesterday, they're related to script issues in the clients, which I'm only able to figure out based on my knowledge of the game itself and knowing who to talk to straight away and stuff like that. So it helped me in that scenario for sure.
Sure. So do you know if your projects are being picked up by someone else, or is it a case that when you leave, that's just being left to dust?
Skilling offhands, I don't know. The clan stuff, I don't know. I really hope the clan stuff gets picked up, even more so for the Discord stuff. Like, the Discord update, I think will do really well for clans. Personally, I'm proud of skilling offhands based on the time I had during Epic Jam to do it. As for other projects that I'd done that hadn't gone out, there's other bits and bobs, but they can grab them from essentially my change lists if they want to. I don't want to mention them because then it sets the expectation about them happening, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
So, if it gets picked up and gets released, then happy days, but I don't know. But as for the visible projects, clan QOL3, which is little improvements plus the Discord message and skilling offhands, they're there, and it's up to them if they want to take them on.
Clans have been kind of your flagship, though, in a way, hasn't it, in terms of development? You've done a lot for it. Even one of your accounts is called Clan Boy. Was called Clan Boy. Why is clans so important for you?
Clans are the most undervalued piece of content in this game, full stop. I stand by the fact that clans, as a project and as an update in this game, are so good for what this game can do. But unfortunately, they are criminally undervalued in this game. I prided myself on trying to give clans a little bit of love wherever possible. Like, the clan avatar update, I'm forever proud of. It was Malta's design, and I basically took that, made it into a thing alongside the other stuff the clans wanted, like clan broadcasts, clan muting, Citadel improvements, and all the others. Like, for me, like, clans, I didn't appreciate them fully until I realized that actually this is like this huge piece of content that gets people together, your friends and so on and so forth. They're all there. Why not like give it some love that it deserves? And that's like my saving grace, I guess, is Clan Cup. I'm just glad I was able to do a Clan Cup before I left properly.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm proud that I Clan Cup, and the system is there to do Clan Cups a lot easier now. But yeah, I'm proud of Clan Cup in particular. Like it brought a little bit of fun, competitiveness back to clans, and that's what I wanted really.
I really do hope that's sorry, go on, Mike.
Thanks. To be honest, when it comes to clans, it's the small stuff that I think makes the biggest impact. The things that you've done, just having a broadcast gets the clan more active. It gets a broadcast in the message, a broadcast message in the chat. I can't speak. Then once that message is in the chat, then people will grats them, and then it will lead to further conversations and stuff like that. And that is the community aspect. That is clans. And I feel like if it wasn't a thing, half of the clans that get constant chatter, mine being one of them, like the broadcast really spark conversation. Without the broadcast, half of the conversations wouldn't even happen. And that's the community, right? That's what the clan should be.
Like, if you think about it, prior to that update in July 2018, the only time you really saw grats was either someone quick chatting their level 98 and then quick chatting their level 99 as they get it, or you're friends with said person and you see the broadcast, but then you type in clan chat grats and everyone's like, wait, what?
Yeah,
what
who
happened?
got what? What happened?
Like, that was the biggest thing for me. Like clan broadcasts, was it's obvious, it was a massive thing. But I really, really, really wanted clan broadcasts because at any point, like you mentioned, you could get that one broadcast and the discussion begins. Same as the anniversary broadcast, that's somewhat recent as well. Like if a clan member happens to reach 6 months in a clan, it'll broadcast and you can get talking about that and just stuff like that. Really, just little things like you mentioned, but social stuff to help kind of generate those discussions is like the big thing.
And Discord soon. That's another thing that is a huge part of gaming, right? So
I have to be honest, like credit to my wife, for helping me on the Discord side of things. And actually, if any of you know about the item tooltip update, so where you mouse over a degraded item and it says the item charge remaining straight away, originally it was just going to be a flat color for that percentage. And then she was like, well, why didn't you just make it green for this, yellow for this, red for this? And that was the really cool thing about tap or doing stuff after work or before or during lunches, is that my wife had that vested interest in the game as well, and she had a completely different approach to stuff I did and actually made it better as well. So it was like a little bit of a team effort in a way, and it was pretty awesome.
That's pretty sweet.
You said that clans are very undervalued, and I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that's both I'm assuming that's from a Jagex standpoint in terms of resources, or just in general by the players as well?
The perception, honest answer, perception is that clans are a very scary system to go near, which in theory they are. However, they need, all you need with clans is time, and based on the scheduling, there is no time to do that. The only reason clan updates happened for the last 2 years is because I did them in my free time. If there is time given to it, there is a great opportunity to do stuff. But if we're talking from that perspective, it just wasn't given time to have updates done for it.
Got it.
Personally speaking, I think it deserves time to have stuff done for it. But I'm quite biased in that scenario. But I think clans are quite important for this game.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, even if you're looking at the chat, are agreeing that they're saying, oh, I met all my friends in my clan and a lot of other stuff. So it seems like, a lot of people feel strongly about clans. I've definitely been in a number of really good clans and met a lot of friends. And that's kind of how I learned how to PVM as well. So when you're looking at, any sort of advancement as a player, that all started through clans as well. But I had a follow-up, which is, and you don't need to answer this if you don't want to, but what is something else that you think could use a little more love or a little more time in terms of prioritization in the future of the game, in the next year, next 2 years, next 10 years?
Ninja style updates. We don't have them. Ninja style. Let's talk about the Ninja team as a focused team was absolutely incredible. We have had significant QOL from Ninja and even new stuff from Ninja when they were involved and being able to make that stuff happen. The Ninja team is still cracking on. However, I feel like the more Ninja love we can give, the better, right? They're still doing it. but I feel like you could throw more people at Ninja and they'd still be doing that awesome stuff. That's the
Yeah,
big
for
thing
sure.
for me.
Got it.
But also, like, I mean, if you want to make it from that scenario, like, it's an obvious one. It's been said before. Like, maybe like player-owned house needs a bit of love. Player-owned house as a piece of content is very archaic, old school. Had that wonderful opportunity to bring out the player-owned house viewer, courtesy of Ash. Like, they smashed it. And like player-owned house having a bit of love would be awesome, because I think, let's be honest, we'd all love to customize our houses more and be able to do a bit more with it.
Even if it's just new things that give you bonuses, like, how there's the repair armor stand and things. It could literally just be tiny things. It doesn't have to be a huge, everything can be moved in your house or anything like that. Just add a couple of extra things that you can build that are going to benefit a player. Give more reason to visit your house, to, go and use this new feature to give yourself a bonus of some sort. Like, in old school, they go to the house and there's like, so many different things they could go to either go somewhere in the map or replenish their stats or whatever, right? We just need something else to visit there for.
Yeah, like you like old school have like I mean, we have portals, but we have like all those different portals. Old school have all those different portals. They have I think they're fountains, I think it is, where they do certain things when you have them. If I could have one QOL update to construction that would change everything, it would be like if there was a way you could move a room without losing everything you built. That would be a game changer for me right there, because having to rebuild everything is a very tedious process. Like from that, but if you had a way to move a room without losing anything you built, that would be amazing.
For sure.
So how come these things aren't getting done though? Because obviously there's a huge demand from the community, and obviously you can see the need for it. Why isn't developers or the executives seeing the need for it?
So I can't speak fully transparently on that because I'm not in the process.
Sure.
Straight up, I'm not involved in that process. Like, if you want to be like straight up honest on the table, I don't get a say in what updates come into this game. As a CM, it is my job to be given the release schedule. Here's the teams I'm working with. Here's the projects they're doing. Help them any way you can. From a direct influence on the release schedule, it may just be me, but as far as I'm aware, in my time there, I didn't have that say of being able to directly influence that. That's just the way it is in that scenario. Was there I feel like you asked, I feel like there was another question you asked, I've just completely forgotten.
No, that was it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I am kind of curious, so obviously this is not your area at all, so I'm trying to just make it out. But I am kind of curious as to how or what degree the community is being heard in terms of future updates or what their opinions they want. Obviously, they do have the polls every year, but even there we see that a lot of things don't really get fulfilled. That is usually on the top of the poll. So,
Correct.
General question, if you're able to answer it, how does that list work exactly, and how does future updates get prioritized or downvoted?
So, what I do is I always want to make sure there's reports going out. Like, if there's an update that's just gone out, we want sentiment reports on them. We want to, if there's no sentiment reports, you want to give a generalized feel of how that update has gone. How's day one gone? How's day two gone? How's so on gone? In regards to the additionals and like how do we like tell the community, like tell the team this is what the community want? I'll be honest, that's kind of what we had Ninja, like what we have Ninja for essentially. Ninja, like we have the Ninja backlog, and a lot of the times the suggestions we get are kind of Ninja oriented, and the Ninja backlog we could actually add to that. And from a CM perspective, we had direct input into being able to actually look at the Ninja backlog and add our own stuff to Ninja backlog as well. And, that was pretty handy. We've been able to get some cool stuff from that. Like, if we take a very early example, Will, that helped you back in 2016, one of the examples was adding the green and blue floors to player-owned house. That was a community suggestion, which we got through Ninja, like, to use one of those examples.
All right, yeah. It's kind of interesting to hear about those kind of things. Yeah, sure, go on, Ryan.
I've got a partial follow-up to that, and this one you may not be able to answer, and that's totally fine. But Will's talking about sort of like which updates get prioritized or what gets focused on. And sort of in there have been a lot of rumors going around, especially the past year, that the number one valued thing currently is engagement metrics on specifically things like AFK events, which is why there have been so many of them. And I was wondering, you know, confirm that or sort of shed some light onto that. Obviously, it's more than just engagement numbers. That can't possibly be the only thing that's being looked at. But how do you value something like, you know, an AFK event where you just get Herblore XP by moving your camera every 5 minutes, compared to the engagement on a boss where way fewer people are doing it, but the people who are doing it are actually focused on it?
So for me, like, here's this is where I'm gonna get like this is where I'm gonna probably give you an answer that's a bit crappy, but
Oh,
for
that's
me,
fine. Yeah, no, for
like,
sure.
there's only so many teams that I had the ability to be CM and in charge of. In relation to events, that was not my team as a community manager that I looked after. So I didn't have incredible visibility on stuff like that. My visibility came, so if we take a step back, I was involved in the end part of Anachronia and getting that towards the release. And then it came to projects such as what are the episodic content team working on, which we now know is Archaeology and the 120s. So when it comes to the event side of things, I don't have the full transparency answer to give you that would be reflectively fair from both Jagex and what I experienced. We saw them in sprint reviews every 2 weeks and what they were doing, but at the same time, as a like, it sounds like a cop out, but CM as a team are undervalued and under resourced, like in Jagex right now, and even more so now, obviously, because I've left. But as a team, it is under resourced in what they can do. It was myself and Porky having to manage 6 teams, the updates, the news posts, the translations of them for the localization teams, the patch notes, the handling the month aheads, as well as making sure any in-game stuff is all good, the game feedback stuff is all good, and anything else. There's so much going on that you'll end up focusing on one stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, you'll find out, oh, now we're putting this stuff in, and it's completely kind of caught you out, and it's like, oh, okay, now we have to kind of go around there. So I can't speak for the question of, has there been a sway towards more events based on what did you say, like performance stats, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, just like player engagement metrics.
But like, again, I can't tell you that because there's so much on my end that we had to do as a CM team that anytime we just about got ahead of ourselves, there's just more stuff that came on top of it that we had to deal with, and that's the God's honest truth, unfortunately.
Sure.
Which is like, and I wish I could be more thoughtful, more transparent on that one, but unfortunately, like, to answer that rumor, I don't really have an answer to it, really.
Yeah, for sure. No worries. And yeah, it's a shame that that CM has been understaffed, and you know, hopefully that's something that changes as well in the future, because it's I would say it's one of the if not the single most important position in terms of player and, you know, company interaction and, you know, the relationship between those two. So I'd love to see, you know, more of that. We were talking about things that need more resources.
It's not a reflection on Jagex. However, unfortunately, CM and personally speaking, CM is undervalued for what he does on RuneScape. And that is, unfortunately, was one of the factors that played a part in me leaving. And for me, like, I'll happily go into all the reasons why I leave Leo or whatever, but for me, it is very difficult sometimes when you feel like you've done all this, like, I'm not going to name names, but let's say, for example, we've had a big update. I've written this report, which is a full report on the update itself, and, you know, it has some negative stuff in there because stuff may have gone wrong on that day, but it is something that is negative until it's fixed. You do it, and then immediately after you send the email, you then have people kind of storm your desk, and they kind of want specifics on, like, they want more info, and then it's like it's tough, you know, because you kind of have to be a community manager not only to the players but also to the developers, because you don't want to hurt their feelings, because of course you don't. Like, I have dealt and seen, like, if we take a step back to 2016, Sliska's Endgame come out, I watched Mod Raven night on night in December, hours into the night, trying to make sure that the quest was as polished as possible, trying to make it as good as possible. The one thing players focused on was that maze, because it affected them getting their comp back. And then
yeah.
this is where it gets really personal now and really serious, because unfortunately sometimes criticism from players can be really shitty and really hurt people. So I'm going to give you an insight into how this affected Raven, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but I'm going to just say it. He was given so many death threats from players because of a maze, and he would I cannot begin to tell you. I was there with him late at night. It was 8, 9 p.m. and he was given death threats over this maze because it meant that they couldn't get their comp back. It's as simple as that.
It's supposed to be difficult though as well.
And you can only imagine what he was thinking. He'd put all of his time in to this update, along with the team. He'd made all this polishing, these incredible cutscenes. He wanted to make it the best fucking quest ever because it deserved that, and it is. But you know what? The focus and what he took away from that, unfortunately, was people who gave him death threats.
Yeah, that's
and obviously it hasn't phased him now because he's still the most incredible person ever. Raven is a legend. I absolutely love the guy. But to deal with that was when it got really serious for me, and this is where it started affecting people. I absolutely felt so shitty for him. And a month before that, it happened to Mod Pie with the Bounty Hunter rework and the Wilderness stuff. And the exact same thing happened. And I get there's frustration. But at the same time, these are people who invest their time in and work their asses off day in and day out to bring you these updates. And some people may not like it, but at the same time, if you're going that far to affect them, it's going to affect them in their work. And that's the shitty thing about it.
Even if they weren't working hard or they weren't doing a good job or weren't doing the best they could, they're still human beings. And I think, to do anything, like that, it's completely fucked. Personally, it's horrible. That's definitely the negative side of it coming out. And that's one of the things that makes me happy that they're making changes. They have made changes to the comp cape, but really it's a more deep-seated problem than that people are so invested in, this video game that, they feel the need to, do things like that to people who are quite frankly doing the very best they possibly can.
Some people are very short-sighted though, and you do notice that in all kind of communities. It's very easy to sit on your keyboard and take a dump on something that people spent their time on. I'm sure you guys notice it as well as content creators. You do see it all the time. For the slightest of things, people go absolutely berserk for no apparent reason. Though it is obviously very unfortunate to hear how it's going, how Raven received that information. I do kind of wonder, the J-mods that develop content for Treasure Hunter, how do they perceive the feedback?
Let me ask you that question. What do you think? Honestly.
Well, obviously, I don't think it's very good. What I've noticed is that they all have been quite anonymous. And I do think that's a very conscious choice. Purely because they know if they went public saying, hey, I made Mysteria Lamp or whatever, they would get a lot of hate for that. But it's still, I assume it's still very disheartening for them to work and every day face the hate and know they're going to get so much hate for what they're coming in to do every day. Which makes me wonder, I'm not going to say I'm wondering about this, but it seems weird to me that they're still coming in every day, that they're not changing jobs or doing something else.
That's because you're making the assumption there that they don't enjoy doing it. They might enjoy trying to come up with ways to come up with creative promos. I know for a fact, I don't know his mod name, but the person who designed the cat promo that took place, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, that was good.
The cat promo was a fun little promo as a cosmetic event, and stuff like that is really good. They enjoyed doing it. Now, there's not to say they're being anonymous of their own back, but to be honest with you, let me ask you guys this question: would you probably want to get shit thrown at you literally every day, even though you're doing the best you can in that role?
No, yeah, of course. That's why they don't obviously like coming forward as much as you guys do, right?
Because,
do you reckon?
Well, here's the thing, right? Would you want to come forward with, in the perception? So, okay, let me approach it this way. We're in a perception right now where the thought process is there hasn't been many new updates in a couple months, would you then want to come forward and say, I've done this new thing for Treasure Hunter, compared to I've done this new thing for a game update?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So,
like, let's take that perception, right? Take that approach.
Yeah, no,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm not saying they're not quote unquote enjoying their job, but I know from my case at least, and I can't really talk for Maikeru and Arska in this thing, but if I made my videos every day or whatever, I really don't want to upload every day. You get the idea. When I make my videos and I know that each video will get a ton of hate, I wouldn't do that anymore. It'd be boring, you know. I wouldn't enjoy that at all.
But well, we work in a space that's very public, right? If you're working at Jagex on Treasure Hunter promos, the feedback you're getting isn't the feedback of public perception. It's the feedback from your superiors or the people at your office who are giving you an objective that you're completing. The objective as a YouTuber is to make people happy, right?
But
so as a YouTuber, if you're getting hate, it's different from someone who's working on a Treasure Hunter promo that's getting hate.
Let me rephrase it in that case. I do think just that I don't think they're very blind to the feedback they're getting. And I'm pretty sure that in any line of work, you would put a lot more passion into it if you know that people are enjoying it. Especially in games development. If you're getting into game development.
Not necessarily.
I don't agree with that either.
You might put more passion in to turn it around. You might put passion in to be like that cat promo for the prime example. They've thought about it, they've done it, right? But that might have come from the passion of them wanting to make Treasure Hunter better.
Okay.
I can't, again, I was not a CM rep for the team fully. That is where I can't give you a full perception. However, I can tell you from every time I've gone over there, those guys seem to be having the time of their life because they're just enjoying what they're doing, you know? And at the end of the day, if they're enjoying what they're doing, then fair play to them. Like, who am I to go and, like, say, do you know what, like, shit's hit the fan or whatever right now? Because... you know, at the end of the day, they're enjoying what they're doing, and I don't want to be that person who just constantly drops negative stuff on them. So that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
To me, it's more of a idealistic thing from the company where I wouldn't blame the people working on the promos because they're doing what they're being told to do, and they're trying to make. It's the same as giving someone crap for making a quest. They're doing the very best they can. And that's really what it comes down to, is you have to have faith that they're doing their job to the best of their abilities with the flexibility that they've been given. If the Treasure Hunter devs said, hey, I don't want to make a Treasure Hunter update this week, that's not a good way to keep your job. So you kind of, it may not be exactly what you want to work on. It may not be perfect for you, but you do the best that you can with the situation you're given. And sort of just to wrap things up on Treasure Hunter, because I don't want to spend this whole podcast talking. I had one question for you, Shauny, about it. Obviously, there's been a lot of backlash. There's been a lot of hive mind crazy backlash, but then sort of mixed in with that, there's been some fair points raised as well. I had a question for you, and it's not even a question of like, what do you think about this, or who did this, or who did what, but do you see in the next couple of years, just based on what you've experienced over the last couple months and at your time at Jagex, do you see Treasure Hunter and microtransactions in RuneScape getting to a healthier place? Or do you think that they're going to keep going sort of how they are, just based on what you've seen?
If we can do more stuff like the cat promo, absolutely. If we can do more stuff like the cat promo that happened, then I absolutely believe yes. I think, honestly, from my understanding and from what I've seen, the biggest problem most of the time isn't promos, it's popping up a promo on your screen when you log in. That for me seems to be the bigger problem from what I've seen based on feedback. When you log in and you get a pop-up in relation to, let's say you buy this many keys and you get more, that right now is a bigger problem from what I understand and what I've seen when it comes to the perception of Treasure Hunter versus an actual promo.
For sure. Yeah, that's a fair point as well. I mean, obviously, it's a very dynamic, complicated situation that we're not going to get into in great detail. I was playing a different game that had microtransactions, and something I noticed is when I was microtransactioning, I know that's not a word, don't worry. It actually told me exactly what the odds were for everything as well, and I think that's something that would be really interesting to see as well, just from transparency.
It does.
It does on mobile, I believe.
Well, mobile has a probabilities button.
Only on mobile.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that coming? I'm assuming that's coming to the main game, and if so, that's great. Don't know. Hope so.
I think it's because the App Store requires you to show the probability of
Oh, so the App Store requires it. So
yeah.
that's
mainly
I
the
would
reason why.
love to
But
see
it is
that in the actual
quote
game.
unquote, it is quote unquote public information. I'm not sure if the wikis updated it at all, but it was a Reddit post about that. That didn't gain too much attention, I believe. But
that's still
yeah.
kind of different from having it in the game,
yeah,
the main way
it
that
is.
people play
It
it. I
definitely
still
is.
think it's very different. I think if now that I just found this out now, but obviously knowing that probability information is out and exists, I would love to see that actually added to the main game. And that's
Definitely
sort of
agree.
one of those things from Jagex that it's like hey people, we want to make sure that you know what you're getting into thing, that just it's the more human side of everything that I think is never a bad thing. But anyway, that's sort of all I wanted to ask about MTX.
Yeah.
And it seems like I'd say cautious optimism potentially, which is not a bad place to leave things.
I am always of the belief that I will always try and be optimistic about stuff. If even when stuff is going bad, I will always try and be optimistic. Like if we get to a situation where we have to reboot the game because of something that's happened, I'll be optimistic in how we can message this and how we can make sure players aren't affected the most. In the case of treasure hunter stuff, I'm going to be optimistic because why the hell wouldn't I be? Like, I have no doubt they're trying their absolute hardest. Those guys who work on that team, every single one of them I get on with 100%, absolutely love them to bits. They are genuinely lovely people. I cannot speak on their behalf and on behalf of the perception of treasure hunter because I haven't really been involved in that team. But from what I can see from the guys who work on that team, they're all amazing, and that's the takeaway for me, really.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so now rounding up from all of the treasure hunter, talking about it always leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouth,
it makes
right?
me a bit down. Yeah.
So moving on, you said earlier about you would be willing to talk about the things that caused you to maybe want to leave, or things that caused you to think about this new job more than staying there.
Sure.
What would you want to elaborate on? Any of the things that caused that?
Yeah, probably. So if we go back to the start of this year, I actually had a job offer from another company, which I won't name. I had a job offer, and all I wanted from Jagex was assurance and just basic assurance. So I went to them, and they came back to me with assurances and promises on stuff that would happen. Without going into detail on it, the TLDR of it is it didn't happen. In the months that went by, nothing happened, and then months that went by again, it just didn't happen. And unfortunately for me, that played a personal role for me, because how can I ever guarantee I'm going to progress in what I do? Because I feel like I'm in that position where I've put a fair bit of time into this. I've had my impact. I think I've done a good job, and I just wanted to do more, and it just didn't happen. That's just the way it is. It goes without saying, honestly, the archaeology new skill announcement on stream hurt me a lot from a personal note, and it was not deliberate. It was accidental, but it really hurt me a lot because I actually didn't know, and people may act and say people may say that I acted it. I did not know that was coming. I was not there when it decided they decided to do this just before the stream went live. I just got into the streaming room, and that hurt a lot because I felt like we didn't need to do that at all.
It was only 2 weeks away.
Why? We had set out this plan to do all the stuff, and we had this pretty significant announcement to make, which was a new skill. Why would we not? Why would we start? Why wouldn't we save it for Infest? It was during it, and to me, it felt like just saying it. And unfortunately, whether he meant it or not, Mod Osborne saying, "I'm saying this because of our PR team told me to." But the moment you say that, it's not going to quell the issue which related to MTX. Why would it? Because you've literally just admitted we're doing this to just try and get you guys to stop. It's not going to happen, and it hurt me a lot because it felt like we didn't need to do that, and at the same time, I was I just wasn't a fan of it personally. And then all of that year, where I hadn't had the assurances and the promises that were made to me, it was kind of building up, and it it all built up, and then it got to this point where Unity messaged me, and like personally speaking, when they said, you know what, we think you'll be the perfect fit for the job, it's going to sound selfish. I very, very rarely in what I did got praise internally from the people I needed to get praise from for what I did. And it does get to you, and it makes you question, can I keep this going? And it hurt a lot, and I just wanted to feel like I was making an impact.
Appreciated.
I'm seeing it, and unfortunately, I'm seeing it now in its entirety when it's all said and done, and that's what hurts the most, unfortunately. I don't know, the archaeology thing definitely hurt me, and personally speaking, if we're talking absolutely, my family mean everything to me. So there was something that happened on my actual birthday on July 23rd. July 23rd was the day we released the Player on Farm nerf blog, and I announced that on stream. That was the first official communications about the nerf we were doing Player on Farm. It had a negative reception. The stream finished. I got to my desk, and I had a message basically telling me I can't go home until I write a report up on everything that's happened and we figure out what our next steps are. And the time it took me to do this, I had my wife messaging me, which was a case of, I can't keep Lyris up any longer. So I missed out on my daughter wishing me a happy birthday before she went to sleep for the night. Plans I'd made, and that has never and ever happened to me at Jagex. That was the only time it ever happened to me, and the only time I'd ever walked up crying at my desk. And on a personal note, I was I can't, it hurt a lot. It really hurt me, because as bad as the Player on Farm stuff was, I didn't feel like it was in a position where I had to be kept back to deal with it. I could have done that after I'd seen my daughter, after I'd got her to say goodnight to me.
You weren't super late anyway, right? So you could have done it late hours anyway,
The next day, there was an apology, because there was, but it was still, it hurt. It hurt me a lot. I, more than any, and I feel it hurts to even say it, because I love everything about what I do, but the personal pain that brought me, where I'm walking up to my desk and I'm crying, and I'm having people message me who aren't in, who are in different teams saying, "Are you okay? What's happened?" And there I am, crying, typing to my wife saying I can't be home yet, and knowing I have to add on my extra commuting time means I didn't get home until about 8:30 at night, and my daughter was already asleep. That hurt a lot. That was a factor for me, and I've told Jagex this, that was a big part personally that led to me changing, because it just feels it just hurt, I guess.
100%.
So unfortunately there was that. There was the archaeology stuff, and the archaeology stuff is just bad ordering, but there's still the premise of announcing it before Rimfest just to try and get the reaction, I thought was a bit silly. And then the final thing was, I can't really go into specifics on it, but and for people asking why did it have to be me, is because, like I said earlier on in the stream, I was a CM rep for episodic content. So in essence, that fell under them. So that's why it fell to me. But in essence, the final thing, I can't really go into details on it, but if you recall, when in September we had a bit of a shitstorm with the MTX stuff, and unfortunately it is still ongoing, some people then had a pop-up in game even during this to say the key offer. I tried really hard to try and avoid that, because I feel like we didn't need to do that then, because it was already quite on fire. And I was like, I feel like can we not just wait? Can we just give it a breather? Let's not add more fuel to the fire. And I was ousted and basically overruled on it. So I felt like as much as I could, as much as I love everything I do. It was just a combination of all of this stuff that happened, and I'm sure most of the time it wasn't meant in malice ways. It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the gist of it in like a summary. If I'm trying to think of everything that's led to it that comes to my mind right now, that's the gist of it. Really.
Those are super legitimate reasons, and I respect you for sharing and being honest. And leading, I guess, a little bit on from that as well. I remember when you said it was like 1 minute 10 or something, the little video that you done saying your goodbyes and saying like you're leaving. During that, you said Jagex done what they could to try and keep you.
Correct.
Would you be able to give me any info on what they tried to do to keep you after that?
Sure. So as you know, in the whole industry, like when you have an offer, a company will counter offer you. That's just the way it is. They like wanted to counter offer. They straight up like I have this meeting, and the first question that's asked is, before we go into specifics, like, can I offer you anything to keep you to stay? And I told this person, like, no matter what you offer, like, unfortunately, I think I'm at that edge because all of this stuff had happened personally, and then I've had Unity who essentially praising, like making me feel so already appreciated, like fit into the team and everything else. It just kind of I don't know. They let's just put it this way. They definitely asked. They definitely wanted to keep me. However, for me, my family is everything to me, and also at the same time, my personal health, based on everything that happened in the last couple of months, is very important to me as well. And I need to find that balance, and that's the important thing for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot about reasons from July on after your birthday and with your family. Was this when this started happening, or have there been previous examples of things that have not been very respectful in terms of your time and privacy?
Sorry, damn it. Sorry.
I'm basically wondering, did like the negative things start in July for you, or were there things previously as well that didn't really work out for you that would have an additional effect on you leaving?
Well, like my personal progression, right? If like this is going to sound incredibly selfish again, I have been at Jagex almost 6 years in the same role. I have watched 10 plus people who I've worked with in CM progress in some way, shape, or form in the company to different roles and do better for themselves.
Yeah.
And then it makes me question, what am I doing wrong? I didn't get the opportunity to be a senior community manager at the start of this year. I didn't get it. I was told, I have an opportunity to get this if I work on this 6-month plan to improve my personal development and so on and so forth. Then that date was pushed back, and then it was announced that it's going onto the website to do external, which you can see on the website for yourself. It's there, the job role. Like, it hurt me because I could list literally every person I've worked with, and they've gone on to do better things. And then I look at myself, and I'm like, I'm still a CM. I'm still I'm still a CM, and yeah, that's great, and I love being a CM. But I wanted the ability to manage people. I wanted to share like my passion to other CMs and make the CM department feel more better for what it can do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity, and that unfortunately is just the way it is, and that's what hurt me. I thought I could have this opportunity this year to really step up in community management, and it didn't happen. That's just the way it is, unfortunately.
I don't think that's selfish at all. It's your life, and that's completely, fair enough. I don't think that's even in the slightest bit selfish to be looking around and wanting that personal progression. And, it's a shame that isn't something that happened, because, everyone can see the fantastic work that you've done. And it's a bit of a head scratcher, quite frankly.
Yeah, it is quite tough to hear how they've been treating you. But I do really hope things are going to get better for you, though.
If we summarize it, right? I got this offer from this company, and I was then told that we looking to hire a senior. We're looking to make the RuneScape CM team have a nice hierarchy where we go from the head of CM into senior, split out into CMs. It didn't happen. It still hasn't happened. Yeah. And I don't know if he's in here, but honestly, for Porky's sake, like on a personal note, like I hope that he is well looked after, because right now obviously it's not a nice situation for him to be in, because it is just him and the CM team at the moment, not including Mod Niku from Social and JD, who's head of CM. So like, you know, I had essentially a counter offer from Jagex on the first time and a false promise, essentially based on the stuff that I was told, to make me stay. I put all my faith into Jagex because this is the first job I've ever had. I trusted them. I wanted them to do it. But I have been in this industry for almost 6 years in my same job, in my same role, and I couldn't progress. And the moment I knew that the senior CM role was going to get moved back after the initial 6 months, plus the stuff that happened in July, plus the stuff like that came from obviously the archaeology announcement being used to kind of for the MTX thing, it just did it for me, unfortunately. Like, if I had it any other way, and if it wasn't down to this, like I'd still be working with Porky. Like, I'm proud to have, like, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but like, I was the one who was given the decision to say, can Porky come work for us or not? Because I was told, if he's going to come work for you, you're going to have to manage him. You're going to have to look after him, which I thought then was my opportunity to be a senior. It didn't happen. This is 2 years ago. Porky came into this company to work for Block and Load as community manager intern. He then progressed onto RuneScape management. I tried to look after him. I tried to like make sure he had everything he needed, and now he is his own person. He is going to start doing stream hosting. He's still doing his stuff, and he's doing a fucking amazing job at it. And I'm no doubt he will keep going. Like, I wanted to give him the best chance he had, and I felt like because I was doing that, that I was showing that I could be a senior and I could manage, but it didn't happen. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
So, linking into like the way that you didn't get given like any opportunities really, and some other people did, and things like that. There's been a lot of JMods leaving recently. Some were obviously left on their own backs, found better things. Some got fired. Is that anything to do with the ones who are left on their own back? Do you think they're similar to you, where they feel like their progression has just not been given, or they're stuck in a spot where they need to be selfish and go do something better for themselves?
I can't speak for them.
Okay.
Because I cannot. I don't think it's fair for me to make an assumption as to why these people have left. That's not fair to them. If they want to say why they've left, they can do that. I don't think I'm in that position to go and talk about their personal lives and why they've made the decisions they've made. That's not fair to them at all. I'm doing this because I thought it'd be nice just to talk about my time at Jagex, and at the same time, you know, have this opportunity to do it. And like, just to take a step back, like, Jagex progression is actually really good in the company. I've watched many people in different departments progress really, really well. Unfortunately, CM has been stuck in the same place ever since I've joined back in 2014, and that is the unfortunate truth behind it. They're getting better at it, absolutely, but unfortunately, based on everything that was told to me and didn't happen, that was what hurt me the most. And they know this. Like, I've told them this, and like, when I leave a questionnaire, that I think like you need to give recognition to CM more and give them more opportunities and so on and so forth. And, you know, I've been honest with them, like I'm being honest with you guys right now, and I'm hoping more comes from it, you know? So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. So we've done some negative stuff, and we've said about the bad stuff, like what you didn't enjoy, the things that you didn't like, and the things that caused you to leave. But obviously you did stick around for a decent amount of time, and you were with the company for 6 years. So there's obviously some good stuff, and some good stuff that they've done for you, or things that they've helped you out with. Is there any of those that you particular stood out, other than the one you mentioned earlier? Is where they gave you the day off because you worked hard and stuff, right? They didn't have to do that. Is there any other type of things like that they've done well?
Like first of all, obviously, without this, I wouldn't have my family. That's the biggest thing for me, full stop. Like, 100%, that is the biggest thing. When it comes down to it, everyone I work with, absolutely a joy to work with. Like, personally, shout out, content team, I love them to death. Every single person on that content team, I absolutely loved working with them. They dealt with my pestering, and at the same time could help me make sure that I can get through to them to try and help them in any way I could. And they trusted me, and that is the most important thing for me. I absolutely love the content developers. I love them, working with them, helping them in any way I could. The core tech guys who make NXT updates, love them to bits. QA guys, love them to bits. Localization, love them to bits. Like, the gist of it is, right, if we weren't looking at this from a personal point of view, I'd still be there, 100%. People who I work with have inspired, and this is what I told them when I left earlier, like, the people who I work with inspired me to come into work every day and do right by them. And I will always remember that, because they have always made me laugh in those days have gone by every single time without fail. They've always made it the most important thing. And I really hope that they listen to this back, because every one of those people who work in those offices are fucking amazing at what they do. And they inspire me to do the best. They inspired me to do the best by them. And I absolutely cherished every single day of it without fail. And that, for me, is the most important part of it, and what I did, and what I do at Jagex.
Yeah,
it's a very important note. I think that is very important to keep some light on as well, that the team is doing a really good job as well. I think we could start moving on to questions, unless you guys have more topics you want to bring up before we do that.
We can go we can go as long as we need to. By the way, I'm up for talking about. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm up for talking for a decent amount of time. We can move to questions, and then if other things come up from those questions, things like that, we can go off on as many tangents as we want. Right? We got the time. All right.
We have a lot of time.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So obviously you're leaving Jagex, you're working for Unity. We all wish you the absolute best of luck with that, and obviously you're going to do a fantastic job, just because we've had the privilege of being able to work with you and see what you've been able to do for Jagex in these last years. And even like a lot of streamers Shauny works with as well. He's saying it's a team of 2 people predominantly, and the fact that most of the streamers have had at least one personal interaction where Shauny has helped us in some way, that's ridiculous, and that's so cool, and that's fantastic. So I did want to ask you about streaming, because you've recently, started streaming on your personal Twitch account. You've personally started streaming on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you are planning on continuing to do, even if it's a very infrequent thing, just to, see how everybody's doing?
Yeah, like, so when Anna's at work and working like at late nights, like I'm kind of just here, and I'm like, well, I've put Lyris to sleep. I'm either going to play games or I'm just going to stream, and I just enjoy streaming. I enjoy playing games and taking people on adventures with me. So there's no consistent pattern to it, but there's just in essence infrequent streaming. Like, and actually, like, something I haven't mentioned, and I feel bad for not even mentioning it, like something I'm so proud of, especially this year, and I really thought would have helped me in my personal progression, was what I managed to get done for Lootscape for streamers.
Oh, 100%.
I'm so proud of being able to give Lootscape to content creators, to allow them to finally be rewarded more for what they do, because it is a tireless job, sometimes thankless job, based on from some companies. And I thought, what an opportunity to like give back to these guys and just pump their stream up a little bit more and say, do you know what, thank you for being able to stream for us. Here's a cool Lootscape thing, go do it, And I'm forever proud of that. Like, as a mark to content creators, if my one thing they remember it by is from Lootscape for them, then I'm a happy man.
Yeah. And the content creator Discord as well. Sorry, Ryan. I just wanted to add on the content creator Discord that uses and is run by, well, I think it was run by you and Porky mostly.
No, it was actually run by Nico and Porky, but
Nico and Porky.
I'd done some looking into the module that controls Lootscape, and I was just like, I was thinking, like, can we do this? And I had a little bit of talk with I can't remember. Mod Genesis. I spoke to Mod Genesis, and we went back and forth, and I was like, I think we can do this. And then we went back and forth, and we managed to figure out that yes, we can do this. Okay, now we can do this. How can we make sure that it's fair for these guys who are putting their time in, and also how can we introduce more people into doing it, and make them feel valued for what they do.
Fair.
For sure. And just to sort of, clear this up a little bit as well. It's not even something where I don't think streamers are gonna like, remember, working with you because, oh, you gave them Lootscape and they got loot once in a while. I think the real difference maker for me personally, at least, is just how much you genuinely cared about it as well while you're doing it. It wasn't just hey, this is the schedule, grab your loot, cool, let's set up, go have fun stream. Like, I remember my Lootscape stream, I was the third person to get a Lootscape stream. It was on a Saturday, and you were there pretty much the whole day, just making sure it was working, and you were there when I started, and you were there when I ended, and I was live for 12 hours. And that to me stands out a lot more than just like, oh, there was a stream where we got some loot. Like, Lootscape is great, it's fantastic, it's helpful for smaller streamers, but just the way you handled it is something that I don't think we're gonna see again. So I did just want to bring that back to, it's more than just the loot.
Like, do you honestly think you'll never see it again? Honestly.
Oh, sorry?
Sorry. Do you honestly think you'll never see it again?
The honest level of caring, I find it hard to believe that exactly that. And that's why a lot of people, when you said you were leaving, said like, you're not a replaceable person in terms of how you've handled everybody and everything. So I honestly don't think we'll see exactly that again. I think you can come close, but you can't hit that exactly.
All right. Any comment on that, Shauny, or you want to move on to the questions?
Like, the thing for me is like, and I hope he's still listening. Like, when I told him I was leaving, he's like, "I need to be like you," and I'm like, "No, you don't. You don't need to be me. You I didn't come into RuneScape CM being, do you know what? I'm going to be like this mod. I just wanted to be me and try and make myself stand out." And what I did, and my passion just came from the fact that I just wanted people to be happy playing this game, and I've just tried to think of ways to do that, whether it was the opportunities given to me via Tap or Game Jam, or being able to do stuff for Lootscape, or being able to kind of have a bit of fun on the dev Q&As. Like, all of that stuff for the dev Q&A was all complete banter. Like, I remember some people were literally getting to this point where they were like, "Oh my god, this is actually workplace bullying." It's just like, no, it's fun. Like, I enjoy like that banter back and forth, and I think that's what came across really well on camera. Like, I don't know. I feel like whoever steps up, whoever is going into CM alongside Porky, whatever, doesn't need to be me. They just need to leave their own impact the players consider and value in this game. And that's the important thing.
I feel leading on to what Ryan said, I don't think he was like getting at that no one will do a good job. It's just it's so rare, like so rare to see someone who's genuinely passionate, not just about the game they're working on, but the people they're doing it for. You really rarely see both of those things. It's either, they might be passionate about the game, but then they don't really care what people think, or you just had everything and you cared about everything. There was nothing that you would, half-ass or like not care about or not go see, or if there was the tiniest thing wrong, you'll make sure you're there and just help out where you can. And that's the qualities that are so hard to replace. And if they are even be able to be replaced, that's the thing, in my opinion. And I think that's exactly what Ryan was getting at as well.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, I don't know what more I can say to that, really. Like, I can't say anything to that. Like, I just judge it based on what players think of me. And if that's their perception of it, then I think I can be proud of what I've done, I guess. And that's the important thing.
As you should be, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be extremely proud.
Right, so...
Right. Yeah.
Shall we move on to questions and stuff?
Let's move on to the questions. As
are we going to
mentioned,
do them from Twitter? Are we going to do them from Twitter or streams?
Yeah, we'll do it from Twitter first.
Okay,
I was going to mention this now. If any of you guys in the chat have any questions, you can either tweet it at hashtag Thank You Shauny on Twitter, or you can post it in the chat, and one of the moderators will pick it up and bring it on to the list. Starting off, we have a first question from Angad Kumar at Angudin Kumar on Twitter, who's wondering what you think about the future of RuneScape in the next decade.
I honestly think this game can get to 30 years. It's a tough ask, but if you can take approaches like the cosmetic promos to Treasure Hunter, if we can deliver, like RuneFest as a keynote, content perspective was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best RuneFests, content-wise, I've seen in a long time. It had really, really good stuff in it. However, it needs to deliver. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Mobile has to deliver. Like, and in essence, that is the important things to take from this. It was incredible as a keynote. The tech improvements that are on there are awesome, but they just have to be delivered on. And if they're delivered on, you can start winning back that audience who kind of lapsed out of the game and so on and so forth. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Actions speak louder than words is essentially what it is,
Yeah. Moving on from that, the Oris Duo streamer group says they both love you, Shauny, and they're wondering what you think people will remember you mostly for.
Probably my mannerisms, the way I say things. I think that's the lasting image, as it were, of me, based on that. But hopefully, from my personal perspective, I just hope they remember me from what I hope is my impact on the game. That's all I hope from it, really. That's the biggest thing. If that's the one for me, then it's that. It's either that or they're gonna remember me for next gen. One of the two.
Yeah.
Angel Strikes says he's noticed that there's been a lot of pranks in the office regarding you hide things or you move around things or whatever. He wants you to share one of the worst or the best ones you've done or been a part of. He also says that he loves you a lot. Thanks for everything you have done and wishes the best of luck in the future.
It's going to sound really like crappy. Like, I don't actually recall being part of. Like, I mean, there's some pranks where, like, you know, you just do your silly pranks, like you tape the laser of like Porky's mouse, for example, and then he's just here going whack 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 onto his desk, wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just do stuff like that, and you know, it's always those little things that just add a bit of comedic stuff to the day. You know, just little things, really. But yeah, looking back on it, I wish I was involved in more prank-esque stuff like that. But you know, it's the way it is. But that's what I remember very well.
That's cool, yeah. Because I imagine a lot of the people at Jagex are kind of like a family in that sort. So they hang out a lot and they have chill in the spare time and things like that, right? Yeah. Right. So Up the Kevster is asking about your most memorable experience from working at Jagex, either from in-game or real life.
In-game for me was, oh man, it's tough. Like, actually, do you know what? It's going to sound, I don't know if it counts, but what just took place in game prior to this, I will never forget. Like, from a, like, oh my lords, the appreciation, I guess, like, is unforgettable for me. Like, I'm so proud of that. And from a goofy perspective, my moment in the Indiana Jones-esque video at RimFest is what I'm very proud of. Like, I was incredibly proud of that for how it came across, and I don't think we could have done it much better. Let's put it that way.
I was backstage for that because we just finished on the RuneScape stream, and I got more joy out of actually just watching Shauny, watching your reactions to other people's reactions. I wasn't even watching the video itself. I was literally just watching you, and that was still the highlight of my RuneFest.
Like,
it was fantastic.
There's that moment when obviously we magically get the lanterns back, and obviously it didn't come across on stream because the crowd mics weren't on, but you could hear all of the crowd going, like, they started going away, and like they made this loud noise, and I basically, like, instinctively, I just climbed up onto this little platform. I just shouted, "It just makes sense." And I said it very loudly, like, you know, I don't know, like, it was. I think that video really captured me for what I can, for what I did for RuneScape, I guess, and what I wanted it to come across, which was like the facial expressions, the mannerisms, and just trying to put a smile and laugh and make people laugh, I guess. So I'm proud of that.
When you held out your arms for the gnome, I lost it. I laughed so hard. It was the perfect face. It was great.
It was a lot of fun to do.
For the lanterns, we could say that you made light appear where there was none.
That's sweet. So a little shout out from Kyle Fur to you, Shauny. He says, thank you for being such an avid and amazing member of the community and for helping make his favorite game even better. He would say that he would miss you, but he knows you'll still be around. I guess kind of leads on the question as well. Are you planning to stay in RuneScape as a player at all?
Yeah, I'm not. Like I said earlier, like I still got stuff I want to do. I want to get my 120 farming and herbal, and I want to get my I want my archaeology cape and that pet big time.
Are you planning on pursuing like a part-time career in streaming?
Like the archaeology pet and cape I need. Like I don't know if I'll go for 1K Telos because I don't get anything for it. It sounds like kind of silly to say that. I know there's a recognition of actually doing the obviously the no immortality, the rock fall and P4 and so on, but I don't know. I feel like when I got Telos done with my collection log and when I got it done with all the stuff that came from it, I was kind of at my peak for it. But no, like archaeology is like I'm hyped as all hell for archaeology.
Yeah. I'm actually really hyped for archaeology too. I think that's going to be a really good addition to the game.
Same, yeah.
I'm hyped for like people like Ken or I Trolled You, who's a ridiculously skilled player, and Maikeru as well, to just blitz 99 in the first 4 days, and I'm gonna be like level 45, and it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be really cool to see. At least I'm really excited for the high score race. And hopefully it's not going to see the same accident as Invention had, and it gave it first 99 in the first hour or so.
No, 99 was in 12 hours. The 120 was in 24 hours. The 120 was in the first 24 hours.
I've got 100,000 hand cannons in my bank just in case.
Just in case. I actually talked to Lemmy about that because he was the first guy to 200 mil. And he basically said that he got that accidentally because he tried to invest in hand cannons when Legacy was introduced in 2014. It failed, Invention was released, and he remembered, I have a random amount of hand cannons in my bank. Something led to another, and now he's the first person to turn a mill Invention.
I remember, actually I can't say it, but I remember being told how much someone had spent for 200 million Invention on the first week of release, and it was a scary amount, let's put it that way. There was a lot of money in GPs.
It's honestly crazy because I remember speaking to Ken about it, and he's ranked 5, so that's I Trolled You, and he said he only spent like 5 bill. It's insane.
Only like 5 bill.
Only 5 bill.
No, like you I think didn't like number 1 and 2 spend like the equivalent of like 20 bill a bit, and they didn't get it that much faster than him. Like, that's 4 times the amount. That's crazy. Like it just felt like it wasn't that much compared to like the number 1 and number 2, but he was right there. Like he spent so much less than the others who were up there with him.
Yeah, I mean, there was an absurd amount of money split because obviously prices were so all over the place with Invention as to be expected, and even more so when component farming component creation of gizmos was the way to train it, and then that was changed completely to what we now know, which is of course the item leveling and so on and so forth. But yeah, they like when Invention first came out, the way you trained it was people would literally disassemble Malevolent for undead components and then create gizmos of those with those components because it would give them a crazy amount of XP, and they would just completely rinse and repeat that, and that's what they did to train it. And then it was hotfixed to change, and then was changed a little bit more to what we now train Invention and associate it with.
Yeah, it's definitely a good skill now compared to release. Yeah, but it's still an interesting concept. Right, so moving on from that, Camilo gives you a shout out saying thank you for all the passion, dedication, and everything you have done for the community at Jagex. Abby, Artemis Scape, is saying thank you for listening so wholeheartedly to the players. Your Skybox may have been the nice update, but it's actually helped me substantially get less eye straining playing RuneScape. Not to mention your friendliness from knowing you all these years. Good luck on your future career. Oneth and Only, first RS on Twitter, says, I've only known Shauny for less than a year, but it feels like forever. Thank you for how approachable he is and understanding and just awesome. It's a loss of an MVP. Big shoes to fill at Jagex, but hopefully we as players can give them a chance. Thank you, Shauny, for Infinity and Beyond. Thok out.
Oh no, Jeff, we need to thank him. Yeah, you gotta give him a personal thank you, or he'll be offended.
Give a personal thank you, man.
Of course I do. Like the person who tweeted you that is someone who we get on, like myself and my wife get on with really well. So correct me if I'm wrong. The person who tweeted it was Wunf. Is that correct?
Oneth and Only.
Yeah, it was his at is 1th_RS. Isn't
yeah,
it?
that's it. Yeah.
And yeah, I've only known him quite recently, but yeah, got on really well with him. He's an absolutely lovely person. So thank you Is all I have to say for that. Like, I'm really bad at kind of returning the thank yous. I have to say, but I don't know, it's quite overwhelming. I
was actually just trying to get you to say the name.
Yeah,
it was
me
what was
too.
It?
Yeah, what was the name in the end
The
there,
end
Shauny?
part,
Yeah, what was
what did he
the
say?
last part? Yeah,
I can't remember.
Look, so the thing is, I made that meme, and no one wouldn't have thought anything else of it because it was a stream in, I think it was like February 2016. We were doing Calvai Kim Mass, and someone asked me a question about him and something else, and I said it, and instinctively I was like, I just swore I need to cover my tracks. And it kind of took off from there. So it was like something, or fuck. And I was like, wait, no, I didn't mean to say that. And then because I drew attention to it, it kind of escalated from there. So I've only got myself to blame for that one, really. To be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, that's how it all started, really. And I just, my wife gets annoyed because she's trying so hard to try and get me to say that word. Like she's going like, and I just can't. Do you know what word?
No, what word? We all don't know.
Yes, remind us, Shauny.
Oh, he nearly did it.
Close.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
All right then. I'll leave you be for that one. Moving on, Miss Kaido on Twitter says the Armour community couldn't have been had a better community manager. Wherever life takes you, you got a hell of a lot of support from the community. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Scaredy Ginge, also a RuneScape streamer, hopes everyone's watching the stream and the podcast. That's for you, Maikeru. Shauny is helping us understand so much. We're also sad to see him leave, but we're happy he's still an active part of the Armour community. # thank you, Shauny. David McKay says he's watching Maikeru's podcast, really appreciating Shauny's honesty. I actually do, yeah, I really do appreciate that, Shauny. I didn't actually expect it to be this honest and this raw, so that's actually very much appreciated. He says that it's refreshing to hear and understand so much story from side you never really would have previously heard. Moving on from that, Click Gaming asks you what your favorite part of RuneScape is in game.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Let's say except from clans.
Yeah, I thought that would be the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Telos to bits. Like, I think Telos is a piece, like, for me, is my favorite thing. Like, Telos was a real step up for me as someone who PVM'd and was content-based. Like, I absolutely, like, saw it as an opportunity to better myself in this game, and I'm very grateful for how much it's helped me improve my knowledge of this game. I would say as well, Elite Dungeons pushes it very close, and even more so, Virago, I've gotten a lot of appreciation for recently as well. So, but yeah, for me, Telos, because Telos has taken me a long way, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so I've got a question here regarding, from David McKay, that is, regarding if you're at liberty to discuss what next gen is, and if not, he's curious if it's scrapped or it's still being worked on under a different project name.
Well, I mean, it goes without saying, like, that is... I got nothing to say on that.
Sure.
All I can say is basically all that you saw, because at the end of the day, something like that, personally, I didn't want to go near ever again. Because as silly as it sounds, ever since the next gen incident happened, like, I never ever wanted to go near it ever again. Like, whatever it was, wherever it may be, nah. Because it left such a personal pain in me at the time where I literally thought I was going to lose my job. And I absolutely mean that hand on heart. I was panicking so hard that at the time when we were doing the streams, we were streaming to 2 outputs. One was Twitch, one was YouTube. I turned off Twitch without realizing YouTube was on, hence why that YouTube incident happened, as it were. And literally thought I was going to lose my job, like, there and then. I had an absolute breakdown. Luckily, that night was the night I was going to stay with my wife anyway. So I literally turned on my phone. I didn't even want to look at my phone. I was so scared I was going to wake up to like to see this email or something like that, where I just completely, like, I had lost my job or whatever. Like, I was petrified of it. And ever since that next gen thing happened, I don't know what's happened with it or whatever. at the end of the day, I don't really want anything to do with it right now because it just brings back horrible memories. It's as simple as that.
Do you have any idea why it was a scene?
So, Mod Steve W actually answered this at Rimfest as part of the Mythbuster segment. So, to explain it very quickly, we used our PC to host the company live stream, which took place a couple of hours before. One of the scenes in XPlayer, one of the scenes was just called Scene 12, and I always just use a blank scene to give the imitation of a fade to black. So I did it. I clicked what I thought was a blank scene, and then that happened.
Okay.
And that was the gist of it, really. I thought it was a fade to black. It absolutely was not a fade to black.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much how it happened, really.
That makes more sense.
How was the I'm not sure if attention is the right word, but how was it at the office for you afterwards in the following days? Like, did anyone mention it at all? Or did no one care?
I had messages during the night from staff who wanted to reassure me it was fine. Like, the PR team messaged me straight away and they were like, "You're okay. I promise you. Like, you don't have to worry." And it kind of turned into this is an excellent marketing stunt. You've marketed this so well, and so on and so forth. And it didn't make me feel any better for it because I still felt like pretty downtrodden about the entire thing. But at the same time, like looking back on it now, it was all banter. But I felt like I was in big shit. Let's put it that way. And it turned out I'd overreacted. But when I don't wish it on anyone. I do not ever wish anyone to accidentally unveil whatever it was, a logo, whatever it may be, without going through what I did, because you will probably panic of wondering, oh my god, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? And so on and so forth. And that's literally what happened to me. Obviously, it was an overreaction over nothing, but it was, at the time, quite a personal trauma for me because I literally was panicking. And even more so, it wouldn't have even been that bad if the YouTube bit wasn't on YouTube. That's the bit that I look back on in fear, because I never want to hear myself like that again. Let's put it that way, because it's the sound of someone who sounds like he's going to lose his job, even though I didn't. It was going to sound like I was going to lose my job.
Right. That's very insightful, to be honest. Yeah.
So I've seen a question pop up in Twitch chat a couple times. That's something I had in my own notes as well. If I can jump in, Will.
Yeah, go for it.
We may have just talked about one of them, but in the last 5 years with Jagex, roughly, do you have anything that stands out as a regret?
Oh wow! I wish we could have done more with the forums. Personally, I wish we had a way to merge the forums into a better place for the community. I joined and I was told I need to focus on making Reddit awesome. I wish we could have done more with the forums, because we have the ability to see everyone's RSNs, their avatars, and so on and so forth. I wish we could have done more there, personally. And I wish we could have done more. Actually, we are starting to do it more now, but I'm saying we in past tense here, but I wish at that time we'd started using those pop-ups in-game to advertise new content, which we are starting to do now. But if I think about the long-term impact of doing it constantly, that could have probably been avoided when that's going on. But then I could also say, one of my regrets was taking on the mantle of having more Mod Porky come to work with me and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't be genuine about that, because it's just the way it is. Yeah. But I do think I wish we'd done more with the forums, but it just didn't have that base to do it with, and that's the problem, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Good answer.
So, RS Curdy on Twitter says that you had such a massive impact on the whole RuneScape community, Shauny. Thank you again for what you've done, and thank you for all of us. Love you, dude.
Oh, thank you, Curdy.
Lennoxville says, I honestly appreciate the amazing personality you have. You seem to stick to your values, and are overall a wonderful lad. He also asks, what have been your most favorite skill to train over these years?
So, I've only gotten appreciation for it very recently. Dungeoneering, I think, is an absolutely awesome skill in how it's very procedural, it's very dynamic, but how it integrates other skills into it. And I feel like, Dungeoneering, I enjoyed a ton training. Like, I didn't do sinkholes. I enjoyed running through the floors, being taught by, like, really, really good Dungeoneering players and seeing the skill quality and the skill gap between an efficient DG 5-5 run and just a normal 5-5 run. And I was just, like, mind blown by that. And I thought it was absolutely awesome. Like, I love Dungeoneering for that. Like, and I think personally, from a skill perspective, is one of my favorites. Well, actually, is my favorite to train. Like, I love getting together with a party, train a skill in something that's quite procedural and quite dynamic, and I enjoyed it for that. And I had a lot of appreciation for, especially like the Dungeoneering speedrunning community. It's very small, but very passionate about Dungeoneering, and those guys are absolutely incredibly good at making that skill look amazing. Like, seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
There was one that's been posted in chat a couple of times. I'm pretty sure I already know the answer because it'll probably be no because it's against the rules. But they were talking about how future updates. So with like 120 farming and herb law, stuff like that. Did you stock up on those things before the prices spiked?
Yeah, that's actually a question from No Luck Josh.
Right.
Notes.
But I'm pretty sure that's against the rules.
I mean, you'll get. Let's just be honest. You'd be fired. I'm just going to say that right now. You'd be fired because you are essentially using insider knowledge to your personal benefits. You'd be fired.
Yeah.
Now, simply put, what I do for updates, I don't think is very usual in the whole CM stuff. I don't like to read up on updates coming out because when the update comes out, I need to try and understand and have a viewpoint as if I am playing that update, because that helps me try and make sure that I kind of have this perception of how a player is perceiving this update. So when it comes to updates, I try not to really find out what's coming up with them and try to experience them from a player perspective.
That's really cool. I like that perspective and I like that take on it. It definitely helps the authenticity of everything as well.
So Final asks, well, basically, I've been dealing a lot with the boss kill count high scores and in terms of like number of pets and all those kind of things. Is that something you've been enjoyed doing? And do you have any favorite moments from that?
I love them. Like, who doesn't love data, right? Let's be real. Like, I absolutely loved the small opportunities I had to do like summaries of this is how many drops of this happened today, or this is how many IFBs we have. I absolutely love that. I'm a sucker for awesome data, like stuff like that, and even fun little things. Like, I love stuff like that. I wish we did more of it personally, because we actually have ways of seeing some really cool data, and I wish we did more of it. But at the same time, I understand it's not always doable because it does take time to generate that stuff. But, I absolutely love data stuff, 100%.
So, Vuli, I'm not sure how you said that, Vuli Q. Shauny, what do you think is the biggest issue RuneScape currently has? And how can you improve that?
The connection to the players.
And connected to players, if it's difficult to get for new players to get into it, for instance. Content, maybe. What do you feel?
Biggest perception right now, and people are going to say in chat, is MTX. Actually, the biggest problem I think this game has right now is it needs to get back on its feet with new content.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's only so many patch weeks you can do before new content is needed to add variety to what you enjoy. You want something new to do. You want something new to aim for. So for me, people can say it's MTX. I disagree. My biggest concern, I think, with the game right now is you need top quality, top line updates. That's the important thing.
I hard agree with that. I think when you look at the MTX outrage, if you want to put it all under that umbrella, I think if you have solid content updates going on through that, there likely isn't the MTX outrage or nearly as much, because if people are having fun playing the game, that is more important than the other stuff. But when you don't see updates and you see MTX stuff, creeping up, I see how it gets out of control.
I would argue the MTX stuff is exacerbated by the fact that there is no new content.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's precisely
amplifies it, and that's the problem.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's exactly that. There was another question in the chat, and it was a personal one to you, Shauny, and it was asking if you were going to have any more children, and if you were going to have any more children, how many would you want?
Oh man, okay, I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying it. Like, we actually want to get one more child in our family. We want another child. Our goal is, though, we want to at least have Lyris grow up a little bit in school, going to school, and then have another child. That is our goal. I know for a fact Anna wants it to be a boy, and because we already have a girl, I want it to be a boy as well, so we have one of each. But, you know, we will see what it will be. But yeah, no, we absolutely want to grow our family more, but only when Lyris is in school.
Yeah.
Do you have any names in mind, or is that 5 years too early?
We have some names, but I mean, it's like early planning. Like, we got Lyris's name from Elder Scrolls Online, as the first character you meet is called is it Lyris Stormborn or Lyris something born, something like that. Like, you meet them as a character. We just saw the name and we're like, you know what, that's a really cool name, and we just went with it. Like, that's cool. Where Lyris came from.
The chat is in favor of the name Thok. What's your thoughts on that, Sean? Is that a viable option?
What do you
if
think,
it's a
babe?
boy, why
is
not?
It a viable option?
I think so.
Have the name.
Over my dead body.
There you go.
I love how you tried to pronounce it as best as you could as well, and as quietly as you could.
I tried so hard.
I love it. It's so good.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So, Guest Bart 94 wonders if you're still going to be attending RuneFest as a player.
I don't know. Like, Jagex has told me, like, if you ever want to come to RuneFest, like, you know, let us know, and obviously we'll do everything we can for you, and I appreciate that. I cannot tell you, like, I can't 100% tell you I'll be going to RuneFest, like, whenever the next one is, like, because that would be a lie, because I don't know 100%. So it's a case of we'll see, I think, is the best answer for that one. I don't want to make any promises, let's put it that way.
That's fair. Right, let's see here.
I have one from
go for it.
Mr. Raveler. He's not making content anymore, but he did ask me to read something out just as like a little thing that he wanted to say to you more so. I can't get it up on Discord because it will get rid of all of you guys, so I got it on my phone. He just said, Dear Mod Shauny, sorry I couldn't be there to send you off, but I wanted to say thanks for being so patient and understanding in your role as community manager. It must have been very emotional, draining, sometimes to be targeted for things that you had nothing to do with. But as you explained to me when we met in March, it shows how passionate people are for the game. I wish you all the best in the future, and make sure you keep smiling wherever you go, and you can lighten up the darkest room.
Oh man. So I just want to take a quick step back. Like, you shouldn't be a CM if you don't like getting targeted. As a CM, you are someone who literally is the front line holding a shield for that company. That is a fact. If you don't like that, then you absolutely should not be a CM. I see myself as someone who at any time has to go out like with my shield and do anything I can in regards to any issues and so on and so forth. Players will target me, but when they target me, I know for a fact they're targeting me because they feel like they can get more of an answer from me than others. And they're using me as their way of expressing their frustrations, but also in the hope that they get a reply from me. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And that's what made you the person that everyone loved, because you were there. You were the face, but you never stopped smiling. It was like, no matter what they said to you, they could have said, like, go, like, you know, get hit by a bus, and you would have been like, oh, well, you know, that update, you know, it wasn't great. I understand your frustration for this part, but I'm not going to get hit by a bus. I'm just going to continue my day, and you're just going to be smiling, you're just going to walk along, and you're going to be like, I understand your frustrations. hopefully you feel better or whatever, and it's just gonna be, you're just gonna be fine no matter what they say, which is just insane because the amount of anger some people have towards you. Obviously, I said get hit by a bus as a meme, and now chat's calling me toxic. But like no matter what they say to you, no matter how aggressive they are to you, you always smiled through it, and it was insane to see how you always got into the office the next day, no matter what hit you, with a smile. And that's what a lot of the J-mods told me as well, that you never ever stopped smiling, and then that made them smile even when they were like feeling a bit poopy as well,
It's an incredible display of, I think, one, patience, two, understanding, and like allowing yourself to be the person that people can vent to. Bless you. And then yeah, just patience, understanding of the community, letting people vent, and just overall understanding. And you've said it multiple times now that like that's the name of the game if you're going to be a CM, and just to be mentally prepared for that and expecting it as sort of part of the process is, I'm sure it's absolutely necessary, because if you were out there and every time someone said something bad about you or about Jagex and you started like fighting back and yelling back at them, you wouldn't get anything done. It'd be an absolute mess. But just saying, it's not me, it's these people, they need to get it out. It has nothing to do with me, and just letting them do that.
Hand on heart, the one time I did this, and I regret this immensely, and I'm hoping he's still in the chat. Like, I remember kind of snapping back at Rubik about a thread he did, and I said like he needs to go back to doing TLDWs, and in retrospect, it wasn't a good comment to say. And that was during a time where, if I remember correctly, it's actually during all the stuff that happened in July, ironically. So there's no excuse for it. Like, at the end of the day, you will have the occasional moment where you can't, no one's perfect, and I'm regretful for that, and he knows that, and I've told him that, but he's a passion he's a passionate poster, and as are others, and in this job and in the RuneScape community, here's the thing, right? No one who joins Jagex and works on RuneScape will ever get an experience like they will with RuneScape, because RuneScape's community is so unique in what it is. It is so different into how it how you go about it, but also how outward going Jagex and J-mods are with players, and that is the very important thing here, and that's what makes it very different compared to anything else. And sometimes passion can get the best of you. Passion gets the best of us all, right? It's the way it is. And I'm happy to admit mistakes when they happen, but at the same time, I see it as I just want to get out there and try and make sure that even if I'm not posting and I'm helping other J-mods do specific reply, I've helped out people in QA reply to certain posts, to try and get what they want to get from there, or specific people in different teams or even developers, and to help them finesse their posts. I love that stuff, because I love using what I have from my knowledge to try and bring that to others.
Yeah, that's pretty well explained.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Mod Porky, actually.
Oh, a question from Mod Porky. Oh lordy. Okay, go on.
He wants to know about your most memorable in-game conversation, unrelated to work.
Most memorable in-game conversation unrelated to work.
It's awfully specific, but he wants to ask that.
I also liked his hashtag blame Shauny instead of hashtag thank you Shauny. It literally made my day. It was so good. He just put hashtag blame Shauny. It was lovely. It was amazing.
Oh, he's saying in office, not in game.
Yeah.
AKA casual conversation. It's actually, there was, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one that comes to mind quite immediately. So Moniku is, he's French. So when we're talking back and forth, sometimes we kind of get lost in translation. Sometimes. So I sat next to him for a while, and I can't remember specifically what I was saying, but I said something to him, and then he just looked at me blank-eyed, and I said it again, and he said, "What?" And then other people around me just started laughing, and they turned around, and then I said it again, and he did the same thing, and I was just trying to literally, I don't know I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was just one of those little things that's quite humorous. There's always the banter when we're playing pool. If me and Porky are playing pool against each other, there's the usual banterish garbage of this game, yada yada, that stuff. Having a bit of fun and just kind of enjoying it. But I can't give you I can't tell you my specific favorite casual conversation because, well, it's kind of on the point that to think about. And there's obviously so many conversations you have. I can't really think of one straight away, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So Meet Dave is asking what kind of life lessons you'll take away from working at Jagex.
Life lessons is that you should always value yourself in what you do for work. And that sometimes can be to go past loyalty. And at the end of the day, it is always about what is important for you as a person. And that is the biggest thing for me that will come from this. And something that I'm now grateful for now is being able to look back and say, you know, I have now made this decision for me and my family, and I'm actually very proud to have made this decision. And even more so to come out and talk about it, because I feel like it's kind of important to highlight it, while at the same time sharing about my really fun times here and all the awesome stuff I've been able to do and the appreciation that's come from it. But the biggest thing for me is life lesson wise, is you know, just always focus on you as the person. You know, you can do all this amazing stuff for work, but if you burn out at any point, it will affect you, and it makes you feel more shitty compared to all the work you put in.
For sure. That's
a really
yeah,
important takeaway and a really good life lesson as well. I think that, you know, a lot of people can benefit from hearing sort of, obviously it's never an easy decision, but just hearing sort of your thought process of going through it and putting yourself and your family first. And I think, yeah, that's really important to get that out there.
There's a very simple question here that's just asking, what's your least favorite skill to train?
Slayer.
Really?
Which might surprise people.
That's my
Hot
favorite.
take. The tea is being spilled.
Honestly, I don't like Slayer.
Does that mean you're getting 120 rune crafting then?
Right. I don't like rune crafting. I hate Slayer more. And do you know why I hate Slayer more? It's because I had to 120 it. And that is the only reason.
Is it because you felt forced?
Yes, I had to 120 it. Like, and that is my biggest problem with it. Because personally, like, the funny thing is, right, I enjoy bossing, I enjoy PPMing. I do not like Slayer. And it feels like it's a chore to me to try and do a Slayer task to try and get my Slayer XP. And that is only because I have to try and get it to 120. And that was my biggest problem with it. If, God forbid, I really hope it doesn't, runecrafting becomes a 120, that will immediately become my worst skill.
Okay.
But for now, it's Slayer.
That's fair enough. So, kind of related in a very instinct way, Sir Grantish is wondering if you could remove any piece of content in your game, what would it be?
Staking.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Do you know why? Because I and Anna actually fell, nothing bad, but very, very fell in a little bit into staking. And I can fully understand the problems that come with it. I think you can do staking, you can do dueling still, duel anywhere and all that stuff. I think staking falls into this, you can fall into this hole and you can get very, very hard to get yourself back out of it. And it sucks. I've literally seen posts where people have said, I've done this and I've now lost all this money I've worked hard for. And that sucks because you're basing it on the fact that they may have a gambling addiction or they just like enjoy staking. Personally, I would want to get rid of staking.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. It's not even only the fact that they might lose everything, it also just consumes them. And even if they win loads of money, I've had so many friends that have like 100 bill and it's all from staking and they have no concept of money. They have nothing. They have everything they want. And the only thing that then even brings them somewhat of enjoyment by that point is just go back and try and make more. And it just gets to the point where it consumes people and it's definitely unhealthy.
Yeah. I guess it's a very heavy real-world trading community as well within that. So I guess it doesn't really add on to anything good either.
I've had friends quit over losing at staking, losing a lot, but also at winning as well. And it's exactly what Maikeru said, where if you're PVMing and let's say you're pretty good at Telos, you're making, let's say 70 mil an hour, and you go staking, you make 100 bill, what's 70 mil an hour to an 100 bill bank, right? It throws your sense of accomplishment completely off base, which is what a lot of people, play the game for and enjoy. So yeah, I hard agree with that, you could easily remove staking from the game and it would be a better game.
Yeah, like for me, I think from what I've seen, like staking is a problem based on what I've seen. Now, obviously, I don't see it from the side of people who win, but what I see it from the side of people who fall into this hole and feel affected by it. For me, I just think right now of all the things in game, and some people are gonna say, "Why are you not saying MTX?" Because in this industry, in this games industry, you need MTX. It is about how you do MTX that determines how it does. So you can do very aggressive MTX, or you can do different kinds of MTX. You need MTX. That's a fact, unfortunately. And for those who don't understand this industry, you do. Like a company, has to do well for revenue. That is the way it is. However, staking doesn't need to be in RuneScape, in my opinion, because of the stuff I have seen from people. And even myself and Anna have fallen into a staking hole, very minimal, but we have, and we've been like, oh wow, actually that's like we've just fallen into this. We've come out of it, but it's actually quite bad. Like, I'm not like I don't know. I just feel really iffy about it.
So there's been a couple questions in the chat related to the issue of staking as well. CRS is wondering if the Jagex is looking into or doing anything about the gambling issue itself or the staking issue.
If there's anything that's been said, it would be from other people. I myself, I don't know. If I knew, then I would be, I'd imagine would be addressing that on a Q&A when I have that opportunity and so on. But as far as I'm aware, myself, I do not know. I can't speak on Jagex's behalf, but I would be pretty confident in saying that they are aware of it. I think that I can honestly say that they are blind to it.
Okay.
Like they're definitely aware of it.
Yeah. All right. So we're going on to the next question. Another question that's been asked by a handful of people who's wondering about the new player experience for RuneScape, and I know Ryan as well can talk a little bit about that. The question is basically if Jagex is going in the right direction in terms of expanding player base and taking in people who's never heard of RuneScape before or never played it, for that case.
I think they're doing better. I think they're making a great effort. I think the pathing system when it first came out was a bit iffy. I think the mobile update we did in September, where we kind of finessed the introduction to a player's first-time experience, I think they're doing a great job there. They're absolutely not doing anything about it, because we used to have Ashdale as a tutorial. We now have Tutorial Island as a tutorial. They are making efforts to do that, and you can't blame them, obviously, because inevitably when mobile comes out fully, you are going to see a lot more players. So the best thing to do is finesse that first-time experience, and they are absolutely doing that. In fact, I don't know if he's still here, Stu. I know Stu's been working on a lot of stuff when it comes to, as it's called, Fatui, which is first-time user experience. And also he did some of the updates that came with that update in September. Yeah, Stu's here, so I hope he can back me up on what I'm saying. But like he and others have been involved in that, and they are trying to make that first-time user experience better.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
I think a big thing recently was the lesser abilities and hiding them completely, and having Revo just do its thing for the first 10 levels or something. I think that's a huge thing with the early game, because you just see your character doing all these cool fancy things, but you don't get overwhelmed with a billion abilities, and you actually have a rotation. It's just not rack. No one wants that at the start, right? So they are working on it, and I feel like stuff like that, and then everything you commented on, they're going in the right direction. And
it's not complete, and they know that. They absolutely know it's not complete, and they know they can do more to improve it, and that is a good thing. If they were to say, I think we've done the best we can here, that would be a mistake. They haven't, and that's a good thing, and that excites me.
Yeah.
So I had a question. I know you're getting a lot of game direction questions and broad stuff, but I had a question more about you that I think some people might be interested in hearing about. But it's a very broad question, but what did your typical day at Jagex look like? Because I know you're dealing with so many different facets of the game, where you're dealing with content creators and you're dealing with updates and you're writing news posts. So how does all of that sort of fit into a singular day?
Okay, let's take a game update day. So a game update day for me is, let's say the game updates at 11:30. So 11:30 a.m. game time. So essentially it's a meeting with the CM team to our daily stand-up and basically figure out what we're doing for today, what's coming up, and so on and so forth. Then It's a matter of, for me personally, just double checking what this update is, making sure that I'm kind of up to speed on what's coming up, so I can kind of be ready to start answering stuff if needs be. And then it's preparing a broadcast to go out to players to tell them that when the game update is, because we never used to do this. But I thought, why not have that opportunity to tell players? Like, I have this broadcast system here. I want to start using it to tell players exactly when the update is, even before the timer. So if they're on an hour aura, they know when they can end their aura run before they see a timer, and so on and so forth. So broadcasting the time the update's going to happen. And then about half hour before the update, or 15 minutes, we would publish the patch notes. Then we'd publish the news post for the update. And then we'd go from there and essentially monitor the game updates. So it's checking Reddit new, it's checking Twitter, it's checking everything that is kind of ongoing from the moment the update launches. Can people log in? Can people are people logged in? There's no crashes. Like an example being 2 weeks ago, when some people couldn't log in at all, and they just couldn't log in, full stop, and that wasn't great. So then my day significantly shifts depending on what happens. So if something like that happens, my day flips on its head, because now I have to focus on getting these issues sorted, turning it around as fast as possible, talking to the developers and making sure that those guys are just being amazing as always to get stuff sorted. So that's if things kind of spin around, and then it's about how do we communicate that to players? How can we make sure that you guys are aware that stuff is happening, we are sorting it, or try not to do this? Does that involve broadcasting in-game, telling them they don't have to do it? Or do certain things? For example, the death bug from a couple of weeks ago is an example. There's stuff as in the comms, so Twitter, Reddit, and so on and so forth. But then there's also how fast can we turn this update around, turn this broken issue around? And that's the important bit. You've got to spin this around very quickly to try and make sure that people aren't affected, and that's the problem. It's sometimes you can't put that timer on it, and that's where it gets a little bit more tricky. If we're talking a normal day where nothing's happened, then we're just taking notes of the updates. We're getting a little bit of feedback and putting some feedback posts into the game update chats to let the devs who are responsible for whatever updates know. If there's some nice positive comments, I'll send that over to them as well, just so they feel like they know that people are appreciating their content, and start writing up summaries of everything to do with it. And that's a Monday. Tuesdays change because of stream days, so it's all about stream preparation and everything to come up from Monday. Wednesday is just kind of coming off the stream and kind of easing a little bit. And then Thursday is writing up the news post for next week, writing up the patches for next week, making sure localization know what the word count is so they don't feel impacted by that. And then Friday is just making sure that's all finalized and everything's good to go. And then we start all over again the next week.
Damn, there's so much prep, like so early as well, and like there's just so much that goes into every week. It's insane because it just showcases how hard you work.
And that's why I think CM are undervalued. And I think that's a small. I don't think that covers everything at all, but that kind of covers most of it.
Yeah.
There's
been a few questions regarding the job as community manager. There is quite a few people who are aspiring community managers who want to try that out in the gaming industry. Do you have any tips for them who want to become community management in the future?
So how if they want to get into the industry?
Yeah, they want to get into the industry, become a community manager specifically. Do you have any tips for that?
Be prepared to deal with personal comments. It's going to happen, but don't take it to heart, because it's all about spinning it around and trying to make people happy. I pride myself on trying to make as many people happy. As sadistic as it sounds, I quite enjoy a challenge of when an update, something happens from an update and shit happens, and then I enjoy the challenge of how can I turn this around and try and find a positive thing from it. So it's all about problem solving. It's all about being very reactive, but also try and just find ways to kind of build an identity about yourself, and then hopefully express that to whoever you're dealing with, because people can associate with that a lot, and that's obviously what happened with me. So that's kind of the big thing, really.
All right, yeah, that's fair. Caesar Lenius asks if Jagex would be good for a first place for a job, basically.
Yes, it would, and it really would. Jagex is my first job. And like as a starter, Jagex is a phenomenal. Like Jagex is a quality place to work. But again, like my issues only stem from my personal experience in my team. That does not reflect on Jagex as a company, because Jagex as a company have always looked after me, have always been lovely to me. But my issues stem from personal stuff in my team. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. But from the people you work with, from the events that they do internally, like it has its own little pub in there, for goodness sake, if you want to have one drink a day and like kind of chill out, just stuff like that. Like as a first place to work, absolutely, and you should that's what you want to do, aim for it and try and do it, because hell yeah, like do that.
So there's something leading a little bit on that. So a lot of people that say, who are looking at jobs in Jagex are saying there's a lot of, I guess it's rumor or speculation mostly, that Jagex severely underpays all like most of its devs for the qualifications or like the roles they have. I'm not obviously speaking for anyone here. It's just things that I'm wondering. So just for the people that might think that, what do you think when it comes to are they fair in all regards to that?
I don't know. Like I don't.
Well, they
know,
fair to you
like,
at least, kind of thing, right? The whole thing with yours.
I think it was fair to me. I think I deserved more, being selfish about it, and being like, if I look at what I do, it's been the face of RuneScape, but all the additional stuff that comes with it, and also I wanted that career progression to then get more.
Yeah,
didn't happen. Like I wanted that, and I would say most of the time it was fair for me. However, this year in particular, I feel like my worth has been undervalued, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Fair.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was a hard question to answer.
That's not a hard question. Like I'm happy to try and answer everything I can. Like, and I think the best way to approach these is with transparency and honesty wherever possible.
I'm sure it's also one where it's like, obviously, if you're asking an employee, like they were willing to sign the contract for that amount, so it's kind of a tough question to be like, well, definitely it was an amount that I was willing to work for, so it was fair by that definition. But it's good of you to like go into more detail and say, yeah, but based on this, that, and the other. And one thing I kind of wanted to tie into that, this is a question from the chat, but if you can give me a ballpark estimate, a very, very ballpark estimate, how many hours a week would you say you spent out of the office on your phone or on your laptop or whatever doing extra stuff that you had to do because you're working a 24-hour job?
Before I was more sensible, my work-life balance before was really bad. Like hand on heart, I didn't have a personal work-life balance. Like, and it affected. And I would say those hours would be a lot. Since then, a couple of hours, if that, because for me it was a case of like, and my wife, like this is what, like why I love my wife so much, because it was due to her like going, do you really need to do these like this time, when in reality, what are you getting out of it? The only thing I was getting out of it was personal gratification, but that wasn't being acknowledged internally. So, like, why use all the time when I can instead be much more efficient with my time, and even more so now I have a family,
Oh, absolutely. And I think that
For sure.
that makes a ton of sense. And obviously you spent a lot of time getting to that point, but I think it's really good to have a more realistic work-life balance. And anytime work is taking over, that's something where it's good that you've had an opportunity to take a step back and really reevaluate things and put time into the important things. So that's something I think. I mean, as streamers, content creators, that's something I'm sure we can all relate to as well. Just trying to figure out how to navigate that. So anyway, I'm really happy for you having been able to navigate that.
Yeah. Kind of on to we kind of slightly touched into this earlier. We're going to ask it again just for reference sake. Make sure that it's properly answered. Awkward Unicorn is wondering how you dealt with the RS Twitter drama or any toxicity on social media that you would, I guess, not be a part of, but what's the word I'm looking for? See, I guess, experience. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? How you treated that? How you behaved around that?
I mean, the same as how I treat any social media is no different to Reddit. It's no different to in-game. It's no different to all that stuff that comes with it. Like anything that I involve, if I've either involved myself in it or saw it, like in some way, shape, or form, like I've made that decision to deal with it. Like, but let's be real. RuneScape, unfortunately, is a game that personifies itself on drama on social media, and that is an unfortunate fact. Like, the very vocal stuff I see is based on social media for drama, and that's the crappy part of it, unfortunately. Like, I don't see like vocally positive stuff like 24/7. Like, and I wish I would, but you know, that's me being having an optimistic viewpoint on it, you know, and I don't want to like. There's no reason for me to get involved in it because what value do I get out of it? What worth is there other than this? Like whoever's doing it is getting a reaction, and that's what they want, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's all an attention game in those sorts. It never really makes sense, in my opinion.
Oh,
moving on from that.
Can I quickly say this one? Is that right?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
So I'm Rubik got a really good one here, and it's what do you think that Jagex does very, very well that other companies should maybe take from that? Because obviously they've got their strong parts.
That's a good one.
What do you think other companies should do?
The output of communication from staff. I know some companies do it. I know some companies don't. I look at if I from memory, I can think of like 40 to 50 people individually who I've seen posting to players, tweeting to players, replying to players, jumping on dev Q&As, so on and so forth. Like from a company perspective, and I always big up Jagex for this, the output from staff when it comes to replying to players and being transparent on most things is awesome.
Yeah.
And I will always stand by that. And I think other companies can take inspiration from that. And other companies do it, I know that, but I think some companies can take inspiration from that.
Yeah.
I remember commenting on that on a previous podcast with Will and stuff, saying that the reason why we take it to heart so much when mods leave is because it's more to us than just like a person working at a company, because they contact us, they showcase things to us, they actually speak to us, and they're a face, not just a person working at a company. Like what you just said, that I think that is a big part of what Jagex does amazingly.
Yeah.
I've got it's sort of related to that. I've got a kind of hypothetical question for you.
Yeah.
So you're a player of a game, you spend, let's say, 8 to 12 hours a week playing this game. There's a weekly update, or every couple weeks there's an update. It's not RuneScape, it's like a hypothetical game. Would you rather, let's say update day is hypothetically Monday, would you rather on Monday know exactly what was coming out and how to do it, or would you rather know nothing about it?
As in me personally?
Yeah, you personally. Just
Well,
like,
I mean,
not because obviously Jagex's stance right now, you know, they used to not say anything, and now you kind of know what's going on when it comes out. So I'm just wondering where you're at in with regard to that as a player.
I think, I think sometimes a surprise can be good. However, it depends on, like, right now, if there was to be a surprise, like, the perfect example would be if yesterday's update was a Halloween event out of a surprise. That would be a perfect surprise because it would be very unexpected. If it's an unexpected update and one that can resonate well, that's a perfect time to do a surprise. However, bigger updates need that leeway and tie-in to kind of let people know what's going on. But, you know, I feel like new content can be secretive. If it's changes to existing content, I feel like it needs to be talked about, because existing content is what that player may do on a day-to-day basis.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. I remember, I think when Angel of Death came out, the big secret was that there were appraisals as weapons. And correct me if I'm wrong there, where nobody knew that until release and the first ones dropped.
Correct. We actually had to edit a world that I was using to show off to hide it from the game entirely. We were that determined to hide it and make it that much of a surprise. That's what that was the fun bit of it, was genuinely dropping that on people as a surprise.
Yeah, I
However,
stuff like that.
If you spin it on its head, negative stuff that comes from a surprise. Let's take, for example, the Divomatic change which was a complete surprise to many people and pissed them off, which it did. That was one example, as well as the sigil update, which was also a bit of a surprise, which caught people out and they weren't happy with. Those are examples of surprises that probably you don't want to do because it will annoy them.
I guess, and you probably hit it right on the head, where if it's existing content, people feel invested, they want to know what's going on. But for new content, you think a surprise could potentially be a lot better.
Exactly.
Cool. Really, really good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, so we have some more shoutouts for you. We have RS Pro 88, who basically asks if you choose any update as a personal project in a game, what would it be? I would guess that would be Clans. Am I right in saying that?
Correct. It'd be Clans.
Yeah. He also says that you'll be sorely missed, and he's been playing the game for 13 years. Thanks you for everything you've done. Alexander Wakefield says you're an asset to RuneScape community and the team. You'll be hugely missed. Best of luck in the future. Agitza and Plumplay says he's watching the podcast and it's quite heartbreaking, but reinforces why we all love Shauny. We really wish you all the best. One question though, what do you think the future of clans will be in RuneScape?
I don't know, and that's the sad. Like, clan leaders asked me the same thing when they knew I was leaving. They were like, "You know, what's next for clans?" And I don't know, and that sucks to say because they deserve much more. And I hate saying that, like, I don't know what's next for clans in RuneScape, but I do not know, and that is the unfortunate truth behind it. There is no dedicated official resource to clans on the content side of things. Only Mod Porky on the community side of things, if he can find time based on everything else he's doing, and that's it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right, so most of the questions I have left now is mainly regarding small details in the game. I'm not sure if I'm going to use too much time on that. What do you guys think?
I mean, I feel like that's probably not what most people.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's why I
care
haven't
about too
asked
much.
them yet. In that case, the questions are basically reached a limit. And if you guys want to say something more, should we head towards an end of tonight's 3-hour-long podcast?
I'd say if Shauny has anything that he feels that hasn't been covered, or something that he wants to say in regards to anything, it could be your personal, it could be Jagex, it could be RuneScape. If there's anything you feel that hasn't been covered, feel free to give any inputs.
Yeah, I guess summarize. Let's just summarize it, right? Jagex is a company. Loved it as a place to work for. The only thing that came down to it for me was my personal, was my personal stuff to it. That's the important point here. I loved working with Jagex. I loved working with every single person in that company. They made me a better person and who I am today as a CM, and that I will never forget. Unfortunately, there was other elements which obviously we've gone into that affected that, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And I guess from a personal perspective, like, I'm just glad that I guess almost 4 years of work on RuneScape has been worth it for me. I think for almost 4 years, I'm happy with what I've been able to do, the impact, and hopefully, being able to make people's day. And, that's the biggest thing for me, really, is that gratification and feeling like I have, at some point during my 4 years, for anyone here, maybe made playing that game better, and that's what I'll hold to be. And then, obviously, the biggest thing that came out of all of this is, of course, my amazing family. So, that's just the biggest thing from it all.
Of course, yeah.
I do really appreciate you being so open about everything as well, and just I feel like we've been speaking. This part is like 3 hours or something, and like it's been a long time, but there was so much to cover, and there was so much that you said and covered, and I really appreciate you for coming on. And you even approached me and spoke to me specifically to like, because you wanted to speak to the community, and I feel like that just speaks volumes on how much you care and how much you wanted to just, I guess, a sense of closure, or just a sense of signing off. Even though you're still going to be in the community, even though you're still going to be playing and everything, you're just not going to be working there.
Yeah. I do want to say thank you as well, Shauny, for everything you've done for me over the years. A bit more personal on that side, I guess. as I remember, like when you were on Ace of Spades and when you were first initially making that transition over to RuneScape as well, and you were so excited because you didn't originally think you were going to get it, and you did get it, and you were so happy about that. It was really, really wholesome to see, considering we slightly knew each other over Ace of Spades, especially you and Willow talked a little bit regarding that. You also did help us out with a lot of video making stuff over the years, which has been a massive help. It's been really cool to be able to engage with you on a more personal level over the years. And it's a huge shame to see you go. So yeah, I just really want to thank you for everything you've done for us, for me as well, and for the community.
So if we start rounding down, honestly, I just can't express enough how awesome it's been to have you in there, and it's going to be such huge boots to fill, and you're going to be missed by thousands of people, like for every day that you would just come on and have that smile and just brighten up even the worst of updates just with your smile or just the way that you word things and the way that you care. So big thanks for that, Shauny. And I'm guessing that we're going to have to end the podcast now unless Ryan wants to say anything before going.
No, I just a big thank you, because not even like, I know I'm a streamer, so it's like as a streamer, but like just as a person, the way that you handle your business and the way that you've handled both negative comments and just negativity and just handling, putting out updates week after week, and the way that you've approached that has taught me so much about how I actually run my own stream and my own brand as a person. So I just wanted to say thank you, because you're a phenomenal role model. You're someone I have looked up to and I will continue to look up to. So I just wanted to wish you the best possible in your new position, and hopefully everything goes fantastic with your family as well. And I mean, everybody is so sad to see you go, because we know you're going to absolutely kill it in the next job, and that's really what it all comes down to. So yeah, that's sort of my sign off there, which is just definitely don't be a stranger if you ever want to kill a boss or hang out, anything like that. A lot of people are looking forward to your streams and that stuff, if it's not something that puts any strain on your family, and just it'll be sad to see you go from a professional standpoint, but I think it's really exciting to see you move on and progress yourself in your career, because that's something you deserve.
Sometimes you have to be selfish, and that betterness, it's so much better for you, and everyone understands that. Everyone understands why you're choosing to do this. And if you look at the chat, the amount of thank you Shauny's in the chat right now is literally incredible, and it just goes and speaks wonders. And that is the words, that is the community, and that is you. All right.
On that, I truly do hope you'll be able to keep us updated on what you're doing on your social media. I hope we're gonna stay active in the game. Hopefully, gonna keep streaming. We all care about you, Shauny. We care about your family. We want to see everything going well for you and your family, and eventually little baby Thuck when he comes to. And
I love it.
You feel the same about the community. We do truly care about you, and hope you know that we're not just saying that. We do care about you.
Exactly. Do you want to say anything? Any last words, Shauny?
Just, I mean, I don't know what more I can say. Like, it's been an insane day. It really has. Like, I'm just glad I can kind of talk about it now. I think, because, like, again, all it comes down to is just the personal stuff, and that's just the way it is. Everything else was an absolute blast, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, and that's the important thing. Like, it's been incredible. I've loved every minute of it, and you guys will continue to be amazing in what you do on the content creation side for this game. It's been everything to me, and I'm just glad to have had just that small impact,
Amazing. Yeah, and we're glad to have you. So on that note, until next time, everyone, catch you later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.